I think last week we asked the alliance name between Roxroy and Mike what that would be, and I
And
think
the
the
YouTube
viewers
comments was
said
listen.
the best one I heard was Rock the Mic.
Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Dot dot dot. And we are back this week with your Survivor News. It's a very deep conversation, so I am glad to be joined with Jack Atkins from The Circle Season 2. What's going on?
What's up, Brice? Happy to be here as always.
Glad to have you back. And Wendell, Season 36, Winners at War, which is Season 40. And
HGTV.
with your house IQ, is it high or low?
Low.
With your house IQ, is it
Is
high or low?
Okay.
Okay, when
I know that one.
Okay, okay.
For those of you that don't know that's HGTV Smart Home 2022 in Wilmington, North Carolina. We're giving away a home. You can enter to win right now.
Let's go. Well, all right, guys. I'm glad to have you here. Listen, it's a lot to be said, to be talked about, to unpack. So we're going to take it away to the moderator that is Wendeezy Holland. Where are we starting at?
Well, we get back to camp after the Chanel vote out, and Romeo got 3 votes. He's kind of upset. And I'm going to try to move this along fast because we got the meat and potatoes at the end of the episode. The meat and potatoes at the end of the episode. So we're gonna get through all of this relatively fast.
Mhm.
But basically, High asks people if they voted for him, and he believes that Romeo voted for him. And Romeo's thing was, I just wanted to make High squirm a little bit and cause a little chaos, which clearly he did.
Mhm.
Yeah. It sucks to see my, LGBTQ plus alliance kind of sort of fall apart. I'm not mad at Romeo for doing what he needed to do because essentially he was at the chopping block. And I'm also not mad at High because, Romeo voted for him, which seemed unprovoked in High's eyes, but I definitely see where Romeo was coming from. So it's kind of like, the fight of the baby boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely spicy. Coming into the merge, High and Romeo kind of had that instant connection. They had a very deep conversation. So last episode, in Romeo's shoes, it was kind of a surprise when High sort of started not going for him directly, but kind of leaving him out of the loop and kind of turning on him a little bit. So I understand where Romeo's coming from, but it's definitely a good little bit of drama. And, I always think there's some merit for Romeo to throw a vote on High and kind of make a power player start to get a little paranoid. Obviously, you don't want that to come back to you like it sort of did for Romeo, where High figured out that he voted for him essentially, but still not bad to cause a little bit of chaos when you're on the bottom.
Right. Yeah.
I felt like Romeo took a page out of Chanel's book when Mike was like, "Did you put a vote on me?" And Chanel was like, "No." And Romeo was like, "No." And Survivor editors said, "Bloop, bloop, bloop, High."
Yeah, that was interesting. So I'd like to see where this High and Romeo thing goes going forward now that they're beefing. But we get to the next day and we get this. Our good old friend Roxroy decides he wants to go with this all guys alliance, and he starts talking. Who do we have in this? Roxroy's talking to Mike and Jonathan. I think High was pulled in at some point, and High says he wants to get Romeo next. But we get this confessional from Roxroy saying that he's been busting his butt, and so have Mike and Jonathan, and they need to get something going with the guys. What do you guys think of an all guys alliance?
I mean, honestly, as a viewer, I can understand, we in Survivor history, I think of Parv with the Black Widow Alliance. And so I can understand it. But I also, my thing to Roxroy is like, baby boy, read the room. You are saying an all male alliance and you have 2 gay men who it is clear that your perception of the tribes, you don't have a great read because, I think Romeo said it best when Roxroy was bringing this to his attention, saying like, listen, this is what we're going to do. It's an all guys alliance. You're in. Goodbye. And Romeo was like, the only time Roxroy talked to me is when he is telling me this, and no other strategic plan conversation have we had. And we know High is cool with Drea. High has like his hands all over the place, and the same with Omer is that Omer is in everybody's pocket. So it's just like for Roxroy to make this proclamation that it's a boys alliance, and it's like, oh, okay, well, it clearly to me is showing that you do not have your pulse on the beat, or your beat of the pulse of the heart,
your finger on the pulse of the game,
your finger on the pulse of the game. And it's just like, and again, I would say to anybody that's going to play Survivor, if you are trying to persuade someone, you don't, Wendell, this is what we doing, it's all boys alliance, done. Like, oh, like it ain't no room for conversation.
Yeah, this is definitely kind of the first time we see Roxroy kicking things into strategic gear, which, I mean, props to him. He's starting to sort of play the game, but he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. But no, I don't mind where his head is at. These are the guys he wants to work with. He feels like, sometimes when you have these big guys like a Mike and a Jonathan, you want those shields in the game for you, and that's not a bad strategy. But the way to go about it, I don't think, especially with, a High or an Omar who's not going to want to bro down to the very end. Like, if you haven't talked much strategy with them, you got to start building those individual bonds and then maybe make an alliance with that group, and don't really label it a bros alliance, but to just, to go to these people for the first time and be like, it's the guys to the end. Like, you got to put yourself in their shoes, and like, why would a Romeo want to go to the end with a Jonathan and a Mike? Like, it's not going to work. You need to put a little bit more work into this plan if you're Roxroy.
And we got some funny confessionals when Omer basically said like, are you insane, Rox? You haven't talked to me. And then High says like, I'm not going to be part of the misogyny club.
Yeah.
So they know what it is. Then we get a commercial. And, our note taking is so thorough here that I take notes on all the commercials. We have a consumer cellular commercial. We have a comm app commercial. And just to make things very quick, I'm just going to say we had an Allstate commercial where you could save up to 25% when you bundle the home and auto policies. So for those of you that might be listening for the first time, yes, we are very thorough with our note taking.
Do we have a commercial of the week? Should we start dropping that in there?
No, Jack.
I like that. We should have a commercial of the week.
Jack rocks.
So out of the comm app, the consumer cellular, and the Allstate, what do you guys think would be the commercial of the week?
I'm the only one who watches I was with my aunties and they was skipping through the commercials.
Okay.
All right. Well, I will do a commercial for our party that is coming up in New York. We're doing karaoke on Tuesday to kick off the RHAP live event that is Wednesday night. So Brice and I are doing karaoke. We have a bunch of our friends that are going to be there. Rob Sesternino is going to be there along with some other special guests. Who do we have, Brice? Who do we have?
We've got Brooke Cam High. We've got Tiffany from season 41. We've got Eliza. We've got Lulu and Lala. Okay. We got Jay from Amazing Race and Love Island. We've got Cachet from Love Island. We've got Brian Ferguson. Okay. And we've got Brian C from Survivor. And listen, we got Evie, if I did not say Evie. Ooh. So, and listen, also some more surprise guests. So make sure you get your tickets now. They are available in the link in the Brice and Wynn Present Instagram biography.
That's my commercial of the week.
Thank you. I know that's right. So off the commercials, we get right into this water challenge. It is basically a triangle floating on the water, and you kind of have to balance on that. And as soon as everyone is up on the triangle, they are off of the triangle. What you got, Jack?
It's kind of fun because if you think about it, we basically watched the challenge in real time. Like there was no editing. Like, really, it was like a 2-minute challenge, so it was kind of fun. But it sucks,
and it was it was in two tribes, kind of. They split it up with the blue side and the orange side, which is important because that's going to inform how things go in the future of this episode. But Jeff announced that there will be 2 tribals, 2 immunities, 2 winners, but the one person who stays on the longest, they get to have this beef kebab reward with their tribe, and they also get to go to tribal second, which is very important, especially tonight.
So can I ask you guys a question? What are your thoughts? Because Jack, I never make the merge, so I don't know what
they
this
did
should
this
be
challenge
like.
in your season, Bryce.
Yeah,
I
Tony.
ain't-
Tony had a quote when he was going off. He said, like, "Good luck, woo." And then he went off.
Okay, well, listen, I was in Thailand, okay, riding elephants during this portion of it, so I don't know. But I am curious to know, like, as Survivor fans, what are your thoughts when you make the merge and they break these immunity challenges up into 2? Like, what's your thoughts on
That's
that?
what I was thinking. Yeah, no, I was gonna ask the same thing, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, good job, Brice. And they did this last season too, and they've done this a couple other seasons in recent memory. I feel like it's not every season. It hasn't really been every season, has it? It's been like here and there, but I don't love it. I don't. It does make for a solid episode, like an action-packed episode, but to be honest, part of the reason I don't love it in a way is because they do this double tribal, we're losing an episode. It kind of accelerates the game, and we're missing out on some of that end game gameplay. And when you're randomly mixed into a tribe of 5, it could easily kind of screw you over, I feel like. And sometimes you might be in a great position in the game, and all of a sudden you end up somehow on a tribe with all of your enemies, and now you don't have your allies. And obviously you have to adapt, and that's the game of Survivor, but it's just kind of, I don't know. It doesn't leave a lot of room to maneuver if you kind of get screwed over. And I do think, for now, is if there's ever time to win immunity, it's right now, because now you're in a group of 5. Having that power gives you like a little bit of extra safety, because in a group of 10, you can hide a little bit more. In a group of 5, having that immunity allows you so much wiggle room. For Jonathan, for example, he really misplayed it, but being immune basically allowed him the opportunity to kind of drive the boat. And it's, this challenge is at final 10. If you win this one immunity, you get a fast pass to the final 8. So it's like almost like a double. So there's a lot of layers at play, but I don't love the twist just because I'd rather just have a normal tribal, honestly.
I'll take the other side of the argument and just say that as a viewer, I think around this time, post-merge, you can find a big alliance and they could steamroll through everybody. Or if you find a way to mix things up, like in this case, by having two tribals, then there's a possibility that these people on the bottom can slither their way and break up that alliance. And also, you're right, Jack, it does get rid of us having 2 episodes, which could just be 2 predictable, boring episodes of a big alliance just knocking down a 2 people in the minority.
It depends on the season, right? Like sometimes these twists like this work great and really spice up the season, and sometimes they can just sort of amplify the majority's power. So
right,
no, I don't mind it. Like I've never seen when they announced this twist, I'm not sitting there with my aunts like, I'm going home. Screw this episode. I don't want to watch.
I'm not watching Survivor anymore.
Yeah, of all.
What are your aunts' names, Jack?
Janet and Dolly. Shout out to them.
Aunt Janet and Aunt Dolly.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, in this challenge, like I said, everyone was just done within a minute or two. And I think the last 2 were High on one side and Jonathan on the other side. And they were doing a good job, minute and a half, 2 minutes, 3 minutes in, maintaining their balance. The water was rough. Ultimately, High goes off first, and then Jonathan goes off second with almost like a backflip or some kind of a Jonathan maneuver. And he ends up winning this challenge.
I just like to say, if I was doing this challenge, I feel like I may have been in that position a time or 2. So I feel like I would have been able to, rock the boat, work the middle.
If Brice's platform is rocking, don't come a knocking. Brice is the triangle.
Okay.
Wow.
Listen.
Yes. So,
Um,
we also get a Mike confessional at the end of that, saying that, we have the numbers. It's going to be easy. Romeo's out of there. His tribe, his side, I guess, will be Mike, Roxroy, Omer. Who else?
all the
Hi.
guys.
All the
I and
guys.
Yeah,
Romeo.
just like
Well,
Roxroy wanted.
well, listen, right. Be careful what you wish for, Rocks.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause
So,
you wanted a guy's alliance. I mean, first of all, I want a guy's alliance too, but I
hey.
think my alliance is a little different.
Oh,
But yeah, be careful what you wish for. You won an alliance, and now your alliance is here. But the only problem is somebody has to go home.
Yeah.
right. Right.
And yeah, again, I keep thinking about we're talking Kagion, and I think when we get back to camp, the way Rocks and Mike handle it, just again reminded me very much of like Garrett from my season Kagion. Like, not much to talk about here. Like, we already know what's done. We're good. Like,
Yeah, and I love the way Romeo described it at Tribal, which was such a good way to like play into Roxroy's idea that he's going to be safe and that they're just like, yeah, got back to camp. Everyone gave each other a little head nod. We're good. And Roxroy's got this goggles on. He's like, yo, that's what he did. That's what it was. He's like, thank you, Romeo, for not even strategizing. You're going home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We,
Although I gotta ask, and this is something, playing my campus survivor currently that I've been thinking about.
hey.
When you go into sort of a tribe like that, or just a tribe in general, and you sort of have a clear cut target at this point, like a Romeo, how do you, as both of you having played, like, how do you avoid that paranoia and really execute the plan? Because I feel like, as soon as that tribe's divided, everyone's probably thinking Romeo. And so you get back, obviously Romeo's going to start strategizing. How do you not jump to like getting all paranoid and trying to make a new move? Like, how do you stick to like the simple plan? Do you have any insight on that? Or is it like hard to?
I think Boston Rob would just sit everybody down and not let them move. But again, I feel like what I do love about something like this is that, again, Romeo is the easily identified target, but honestly, I feel like he has the best position, because it's like, if there is any cracks in this alliance, now would be the time to expose them.
Mhm.
And again, for me, it's like, I just wonder, like, how much of their hand on the pulse does Mike and Roxroy really have to not suspect baby boy O? That, like, he has moved the needle time and time and time again. And
Mhm.
so for me, if I am Rox or I am Mike, the first person that I am going to and like is O. And I feel like, and y'all tell me if this is crazy. If I am Rox and I am Mike, I'm gonna say Wendell and Jack. Wendell, Mike, Jack is Rox. Listen, we have to be with O for the remainder of the day. So we will take time. Like, I'm going Boston Rob type style. We taking turns with him. Like, I'm not leaving his side.
You said I get to be Rocks.
You're Rocks. I'm Mike. But also, I think last week we asked the alliance name between Roxroy and Mike what that would be. And I think
the
the
YouTube
viewers
comments
said,
listen.
the best one I heard was Rock the Mike. So we're the Jack, you and I are the Rock the Mike alliance right now, and I'm Mike.
Head nod. Let's go.
Head nod. So you're gonna speak in head nods, and I'm gonna say I need to speak with a Hoboken accent.
Sounds good, Mike. I love you.
I don't even know how to speak with.
You're my guy, guys alliance. You
Yeah,
said we
I don't know
gotta.
why.
You said, Brice. You said we should hang out with Omar. I love him. He's a bro. I love Omar.
He's a bro. We could have an all guys alliance right to the end.
You guys want to play some fantasy football together this year? That's what it felt like Roxroy was trying to set up. He's like, I feel like I'm about to go home, so I gotta at least leave with a fantasy football squad for this year. let me go reach out to the fellas. No, you're where oh, here's the thing. And I think there's a lot of elements at play, and the people. I don't want to simplify people's games, but I think it is a few people on this tribe. It's easy to sort of simplify their game if I'm playing like Roxroy's. The thing about Roxroy is he's not super strategic, and so he's laid his game plan out to all the guys. Like, as far as we know, he is loyal to the guys, but because he's not talking and like checking in and kind of doing all the survivory strategy stuff, I feel like the people he views as his closest allies don't even realize that like they're his closest allies. So he's just kind of an enigma, and so he becomes like disposable. And then I think Mike is just kind of like the boosted version of Roxroy. Like, I love the way Mike's playing the game, and it's so refreshing because Mike is like a straight shooter. He's loyal. Like, you could tell that Mike is loyal to you. But at the same time, Mike is thinking about the game, so he's thinking about moves that could be made and how, and the repercussions and the externalities of these moves. And if you're his ally, he's going to lay those out to you and give you his opinion. But at the same time, he's going to be like, but whatever you think is the move, like, I'll go with that. And I think that's the best kind of ally if you're playing the game. Someone you can have an open strategic discussion with, weigh out all the variables, and then who's flexible enough to come to the conclusion that you make if they feel like it's the right one. And Mike has shown the ability to do that, and that's why his name's never even been brought up, whereas Roxroy has not been able to do that. He's a little bit more stubborn in his ways.
I agree with that assessment with Mike. I feel like the only downfall for Mike is that if he has a target on you and you are in his alliance and you are saying like, we need to get Wendell out, but I'm saying, no, we need to get Malika out. Mike is like, no, Malika, we gotta get Malika. She would have voted, like, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't waver well. And so that's my only downfall. Like, only downfall that I see of Mike is that sometimes, okay, like, we could get Wendell out and we can get my person next. So that's the only thing that
I know where you're coming from, because when High went to him, he kind of immediately just shut it down. But ultimately, we see that he was willing to make that move.
True.
And, like, of course, the way he sort of shut it down quickly was maybe not ideal. But like I said, I do appreciate the fact that if I'm Mike's ally, I know that if I go to him with an idea, he's going to keep it a buck with me. Like, he's not going to agree with me and then be like, all right, now we need to go get Jack out. He's going to be like, no, I don't think that's the move. And maybe he doesn't vote with you, and at least you know where his head's at. But, I mean, like we see here, he was convinced to vote with High and the rest of the guys. So I know what you're saying. Like, he did shut it down super fast, which when you're strategizing isn't always great. But, like, I'd rather have someone laying out all their cards to me, whether that goes with my plan or not, than to just, like, you don't want a yes man on Survivor who's just going to agree with everything you say, because you don't know where they're actually at.
And one of Mike's quote was, Roxroy isn't a hard vote for me, but I gave him my word. That's basically Mike's game. It's like, I'm willing to do these things, but I'm a loyal guy. And ultimately, go ahead.
But what happens to loyal people in Survivor?
It depends on the season.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I get it. Like, and mind you, again, I love Mike. I'm just saying that, like, sometimes being loyal ain't always the best game plan. Sometimes you gotta
But with that being said, like, I think Mike the perception the other players have of him is that he's super loyal. But at the same time, we see him make this move, and we see him vote out Lydia, who he was loyal to. Like, I think he's got such a good balance where he's managing the way he's being perceived so well, but still willing to make those moves. But I mean, he's not like a flawless player, but I really like the way, and it's so different, I feel like, from what we've seen a lot recently. And as an older guy, a lot of times we get the Roxroy, who's a little bit more very straightforward strategy. Mike's got a little bit more nuance to his game. Now,
I also think, though, like, just thinking about Mike is like, maybe he's playing a more sophisticated game than I'm giving him credit for, because, like, as you were just talking, what I was thinking about has, like, for the most part, other than like Chanel, Mike has been on the right side of the votes. And could that be an end game?
Was he on the right? He was in on the Chanel vote.
He's been in on like every vote, right? I was just saying the one time that he put Chanel and Chanel put his name down. But I'm just saying, like, could that be an end game for Mike? That, like, if you, like, if somebody's out there like, well, listen, I had to vote with everybody. Like, I don't know, but I just noticed that like he's been on the right side of the votes for the most part.
Yeah, no, I think he's been crushing it. And also, I think Mike was right about this vote. I think they should have voted out Romeo. And I'm glad Romeo stayed because he's more entertaining in my eyes. But like
They're
I
both
said,
entertaining in their own way.
Yeah,
Rox
Roxroy,
is something.
people are viewing Roxroy as semi-dispensable because the way he's handling his strategy is not very complex. Like his social game is lacking. But if you really look at it, if Roxroy is the one coming up to you, if I'm in the game, Roxroy and I might not be super close with Roxroy, but if he's coming up to me, he's like, gotta go Guys Alliance. Like, let's build a shelter. Let's get some food. Guys Alliance. I'm like, okay, Roxroy wants to work with me. Like, I don't think he's going over to Marianne and Lindsay strategizing with them. So that's a person that's in your corner. And
I mean, is it like I question that though, Jack? I don't think that you're looking at it like you're at the bottom. You've never talked like any game with him, and then all of a sudden he's coming up and saying like,
that's why I think that's the knock against him. Like, obviously, you're not going to trust him maximally, but if you look at it, like obviously in the game in the moment, you're not even close with Roxroy, so you're like, okay, we can vote him out. But it's like, where are his strategic intentions? Obviously, it's easier as we're viewing the show, but it's like he's a straightforward dude. He's a number for the guys and wants shields like me around. Or if I'm Mike or High and I need some shields, like I feel like I'm playing a good game. And you laughing at me saying I'm a shield, whatever. And then also it's like I admire High's like flexibility in the game, but the day before you're yelling at Romeo for voting you. Like, why do you still want him in? I don't like, why are you convincing Mike to keep the person that is your only clear adversary in the game? It makes no sense to me. Like, I really think I think this move was only good for Omar, and that's why he deserves so much credit for pulling it off and pulling off the move to save Jonathan at the merge. Like, Omar is I think that's the sign of a great player, is convincing people to do things that go against their best interest without even seeming like you're persuading them. Like, he got High to convince Mike to do his. But I also feel
like if okay, so Rox is out, but say they want to continue this Guys Alliance or the facade of the Guys Alliance, I feel like it's in Romeo's best interest to get Rox out, and now High can step into that position and still be playing both sides of the game. So I mean, I don't necessarily think it was like such a bad decision for High necessarily.
Wendell
will tell.
Yeah, only time will tell. We don't have all the information. Like, we're not in the game. But Wendell, what do you think? Like, there's definitely a lot of elements to it.
Yeah, I was writing a list down of the players that are going to be remaining after this episode to ask you guys a question, so I wasn't exactly fully listening to what y'all were just saying.
Oh, God.
Basically, like, if you're in, I guess, like a High was the swing vote, right?
Yeah.
Who do you think should go home? Like, would you rather target a Roxroy or Romeo?
If I'm High, I'm voting out Romeo, and also, like, looking forward. I know that there's going to be a lot. I think things are going to be very shaken up next episode because of what happened in this second tribal. So, like, a lot of people can, I think that
reposition themselves.
Yeah, there will be a lot of repositioning. But man, you got Romeo still in the game. He and High, like, he wrote High's name down the night before. Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't think it was a good move for High at all. High is a great player, but I think people are going to see how great he is, especially like there are a lot of great players in this game, and High has done a lot of things. So yeah, I don't think that was the best move for him.
I would wager though that at some point between the returning from tribal and then breaking into this tribe, that High and Romeo had some sort of conversation where they sort of mended the fences a little bit, because clearly at this point, like, High and Romeo do not have as much like visible tension as they did before. So I don't know. And then clearly High, I'm sure, feels more connected to like that to a Romeo, and probably has more care just in general for like a Romeo than a Roxroy. Like they had their differences, but I feel like at the same time they can acknowledge sort of, like they discussed at the merge, they're very they're on kind of a similar mission in the game, and they have a kind of a mutual understanding. So
agreed. All right, let's jump over to the other camp. This is Lindsay, Jonathan, Marianne, Drea, and Tori. This is where things start to happen.
yeah.
They come home, they're eating good, they have their beef shish kebabs, and we get a Jonathan confessional. When we got split into two groups, this was good for me. I had to put my ego aside beforehand, but now it's like time for him to do something, I guess. He wants to he wants to make moves now. Jonathan goes
bad episode for Jonathan.
This was a bad episode for that guy. Yeah, but Brice is boo.
X.
Oh, that's your ex?
We giving X on the beach. Okay, we just giving X on the beach.
What?
Brice is like, I'd still show up to X on the beach with Jonathan.
I mean, I would though. I mean, I would show up. Okay, I would show up.
Oh.
But it's definitely giving X, and it's definitely giving, for me, I would be turning my comments off.
So you are not the immunity necklace this week?
I am not. Okay, I am not.
Okay, all right.
I can tell you what I might be, but spicy.
Don't make me get
the
Brice. Keep it cute today. Keep it cute. All right, so Jonathan's ready to make moves. This man is ready to go. He goes to Marianne. He says, "We're gonna get rid of Drea's immunity idol, and we're gonna do it with Lindsay, and we're gonna tell Drea that you, Marianne, are the decoy vote. We need to do it now. You understand me?"
Oh,
and I didn't like how he was talking to her.
I didn't like how he was talking to her either, but that didn't really bother me. The first thing that when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay. And this is just me. From my perspective is I've watched enough Survivor to know that if Jack and I, like Jack, we're going to get Wendell out. So we're voting Wendell out. But I'm going to say it's you. Tell me on what season of Survivor has that person that is Jack have ever been like, okay, like that
great idea.
They always find an issue with that. So like one, I'm like, okay, that just don't make sense. And then two, I'ma just say it. The two black girls, that's where we going, Jonathan. Like the two black women, you want to say both their names?
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, we know, you should know that Drea has beef with Tori. So why Marianne and not Tori?
And you're like that. Yeah, you're on the nose. Like it Omar needs to come get his mans. Like it just shows that. And I like Jonathan a lot, and we could get into. I know he might be X this week, but I do think. We could discuss this as we go forward, but strategically speaking,
go ahead.
What you got, Jack?
Strategically,
obviously,
what
bad week for Jonathan strategically and elsewhere. But I do think it's a sort of thing where I don't agree with some of the things he said, but I do think as a dude from Alabama, it's clear that I think he's trying to learn and that he cares a lot about all these people. Now, I'm not saying his mindset was good on a lot of these things, and we'll get into this more as we get to tribal, but I do think you can't really question that he cares about these people, and that I think a lot of his he's clearly not very smart. So the way he expressed his feelings was not very well articulated. It was not very well informed. It was not very knowledgeable on these issues. But I do think part of the reason he jumped to these sort of incorrect conclusions was because he cares so much about, a Drea that he misinterpreted the things she was saying and was hurt by that. Okay. And the way he expressed that was not good, but I don't think it came from a place of malicious intent. And it's like,
is it ignorance?
It's ignorance. And, coming from Alabama, not a very smart guy, it doesn't excuse the things he's saying, but it kind of puts them into context. So I do feel like he has a desire to, be better is kind of what I get from him. So that doesn't excuse ignorance in the presence, but I think it it's you don't want
It's
to.
a way to explain it. Jack, I hear you, and we'll get more to
We'll
that.
get to yeah, but
Yeah.
but as far as his gameplay goes, I think his whole time on this island in this group shows how completely kind of unaware of people's position in the game that he is. Like, he doesn't realize that Drea and Tori have beef. Him saying Marianne's name to Drea doesn't really even make sense because he's working with Marianne. So it's like kind of suspect. Obviously him
And-
going to Marianne and telling her that, like Brice said, never works. And like the way he talked to Lindsay was on the dot with all of her reads of this tribe, and he kind of shut her down, which was also that was definitely bad too. That was just, yeah, Lindsay's reads this week. I wish she had more screen time because clearly she's got a very great awareness of the game, and Jonathan does not. And at this point, it's like, how could he have done worse this week? Really?
Yeah. So he and we'll get to a lot of that. Yeah. But one of his things, he went to Drea and said, we're going for Marianne to flush an idol. He went to an idol holder and said that the reason why we're going for this other person who was just on a tribe with him for however many days is because she has an idol.
Makes no sense.
Red flag. Then, like we just saw, he went to Lindsay and he was talking at her, and then he pulled the old switcheroo and let Lindsay know that she was getting all worked up and not listening to him. And if you ask me, I think it was the other way around, but I've seen a lot of people do things like that where exactly what they're doing is exactly what they are putting on somebody else.
Yeah.
Projecting.
But honestly, in the moment watching that clip too, like Lindsay's ability, like I'm sure she was aware of the fact that she was, her awareness of the game was great. She was being talked at. So the fact that Jonathan had a little man meltdown and she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," like pretty genuine about it. It's like not a lot of people in that moment would have the ability to just like kiss, like boost Jonathan's ego. Like if that was me, he's talking at me, I'm gonna be like, dude, like you don't know what's going on. Like stop.
I wonder what that conversation would have been like, because I have a suspicion that if you were having that conversation with him, I don't know if whether or not you would have met that side of Jonathan. For me, what I find so jarring about that conversation is that Lindsay, it's one thing if Wendell and I are arguing. That's every day. We're going back and forth. We have a different point of view. But it's another thing if when Wendell is saying something and I am actually like supporting and trying to give you the best idea to help your idea go through. And for me, what was so jarring was that he was not comprehending it. And for me, I like, and again, I was not there, so I don't know, but it seemed like his way or the highway. And it's just like, how can you play the game of Survivor like this? Like she's with you. She's saying like, I like, let me help you make this plan better. I still want to get the person that you want out, but let's split the votes up a little bit, because if she plays her idol, then 100%. Marianne's going to go home and we're going to lose an extra vote. So like, let's just like, and the fact that he couldn't even hear that.
The moment that she told him like, well, if she plays her idol, Marianne goes home, you could just see him sitting there in his gears. You could see the gears turning. He's like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Like, if you didn't even think of that, obviously Marianne could kind of counterplay her idol, but it's like, if
either his gears were turning or his gears weren't turning.
Well, he was trying to start them up. Like he needed Roxbury to come in there, open the hatch and turn the key. But no, and my thing too is like, beyond all of that, like obviously the way he spoke to her was not like excusable, but even from a gameplay standpoint, the importance of listening, I feel like in Survivor, especially in an instance like this, is so key, because Lindsay, whether she's right or wrong, is giving you her entire read on this tribe and of this game almost. So listen, collect the information, because when you're making decisions, you want to maximize the information you have. So whatever anyone's telling you, whether it's right or wrong or whatever, like you're still adding information to your mental register of the game that's going to help you make better decisions. So someone saying something about the game, which in this instance is completely accurate, to be like, no. Like, you're not only communicating poorly, but you're just losing out on information, which it's just like clearly
It's not a good strategy.
no, it's
Not a good strategy at all. And again, for me, I just go back to thinking the Roxroy conversation and the Jonathan that we get with the Roxroy conversation. Jonathan talking to Mike. You know, for me, it's just a very telltale sign of like, I mean, do you like, I don't know. For me, what I get is like, do you respect a woman's opinion?
Yeah, definitely some embedded misogyny there.
So towards the end of this this segment, we get this Jonathan confessional where he says, most people who get immunity relax. This is my time to go hard in the paint, and there's a big move that is going to be made tonight, and I'm going to orchestrate it. I've been waiting for this moment, and I'm going to love every minute of it. When we got that, I was like, and after seeing how he was just, you know, speaking to people, I was like, man, something is going to happen tonight. And this is them teeing him up for something.
And if that wasn't more of an indication at that point, I feel like we were just 15 minutes into the episode. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
The timestamp was an indication also. So then we get another commercial break. And the first commercial is, oh, Tesla for better skin. And when I think about this particular commercial, Brice,
tell us, let us know.
Well, I heard about all of the side effects. Okay.
Oh,
they said it causes nausea, vomiting, upper respiratory infection,
Jesus,
headache,
and
depression.
Oh my God, but is your skin clear?
Okay, that's what I'm saying. You got to weigh your options, Brice.
Oh, wait, my skin is clear, but listen, I got diarrhea. I gotta go.
You in the bathroom the whole time. You can't even show off your beautiful skin.
My skin looks good, but I have not left my room for 2 months. Just take my word for it, though.
It works.
Yeah.
But I will also give a little commercial for the Brice and Wen LA party. Okay. I'm going out. I'm going, you know, a little out of order, and Brice might not love it, but we're throwing a finale with Lauren Ashley Beck in
Lauren
LA.
Lauren
Ashley Beck, the one and only. We're gonna have a lot. Like, there's gonna be so many reality people in the building. We're gonna go hard for this finale in LA at Busby's West. And
that's like my favorite bar in LA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was right near where I was living over the summer. There was a time where I was there probably 2 or 3 times a week.
Oh my God, Jack!
Hey, it was
We're
like 3 minutes
from my crib. Aunt Peggy.
But it was there, Brice. There, no. And honestly, we could talk about this more off camera, but I might be able to. I'm hoping. I realized. So I was supposed to. This is the week before my finals week, and my finals week, I'm trying to bump up some of the finals, but not to give the people too much academic information. But one of my finals is just a project, so you know that's a remote little vibe. Then I got some Spanish, can take care of that pretty easy. And then I was supposed to have a final in money and banking, but listen to this: seniors like myself can forego the final for an automatic C on the final. So I'm like. And then, you know, I just got past the class. So I'm like, I could do that and maybe potentially come out to LA. So,
well, Jack, let me tell you this, right?
Please lay it on me.
You know Omar from Hearts of Reality, right?
Oh, yeah.
Omar is the man in charge of wrangling all these people and bringing them down for Hearts of Reality to raise money for Give Kids the World Village. Omar texted me, Brice, and Lauren and said, hey, let's do a giveaway to flights to LA and 2 VIP passes for the finale for the party. And he said, you like that, Jack?
For me?
I'm saying you can enter.
You gotta have higher than the
Oh, true. So the way people can enter is by donating to either Brice's or my page or Lauren Ashley Beck's Hearts of Reality page. and you can donate $1, you can donate $5, whatever you want to donate. But every dollar donated is one entry of your name. And so on around May 10th ish, Omar's going to compile all of these entries, and he's going to pick one lucky winner to receive 2
that's
round trip
awesome.
tickets and 2 VIP passes.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, the charity is great cause. That's a great way to raise some money and get some more people out to. What's the page?
See?
I'm gonna
So
send some
here's
money
what I'll
right
say,
now.
Jack, do it right now. So I put my Hearts of Reality page in my bio on my Instagram. So you could donate $1 there if you want. You could donate to Brice. It's Brice. Where's your Hearts of Reality link?
It's on my Facebook page. So listen, with the aunties. So listen, that's where that link resides. But you can click the link in my bio or the Brice and Wynn present bio to get your tickets for LA, because we going back to Cali. Hey, we going back to Cali. Hey, Ponda River.
If I gotta choose a coast, I got to choose the east. I live out there, so don't go there. But that don't mean that can't rest in the west. See some nice in the west. And I'm not gonna give those lyrics. I can't give.
But
big lyrics.
Whether I make it or not, I will say it's a great venue too for anyone listening or watching. It's such a fun bar. They got an arcade in there.
Oh
they
my
got
God.
a pool in there. They got a screening room there. They got karaoke. 2
Did you
different
say a pool?
bars. Like they got pool, like billiards pool.
Brice was about to be.
You in LA? You're not far from the beach. Once the party ends, a little skinny dip in the Pacific. I don't know.
Jackery.
Or remained clothed. Up to you. No. But it'll be fun. And I think I will be there regardless the following week. So if you guys are around.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna be there.
If anyone wants to hang out with me,
Jack needs some
let me
friends.
know. I'm lonely.
Bring the buff.
That skin medicine has had me in the bathroom for 2 months.
So make sure if you guys want to enter the contest, you can donate to my page, Brice's page, or Lauren Ashley Beck's Hearts of Reality page to donate to Give Kids the World Village. Or if you want to just come to the party, go follow at Brice and Wen Presents on Instagram, and the link is in the bio for that party.
Yes, pull on up. So, let's get on into the tribal.
Let's get the party started when I
walk through.
Every time that I slide through, bottles on deck, so you know what.
Come through. It's
gonna be lit because I'm bringing out the whole crew. Always.
See, I do know this one. I don't know the word. I know I can name the artist though.
Who's the artist?
It's Brice Isaiah.
Hey, yes. Listen, if you're listening, please go stream Brice Isaiah Get the Party Started on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever music is at. Brice Isaiah Get the Party Started. And listen, screenshot it and send it to me on the Insta or the Twitter and let me know you really rocking with your baby boy. Because listen, the tribals are about to get started.
It's about to get started. So the first tribal, we walk in. It looks very rainy. We see Chanel on the jury. You got High, who has immunity. You got Mike, Roxroy, Omar, and Romeo.
True.
Yes.
Chanel was stunting on the jury, I will say.
Yeah.
Very fly. But yeah, this is I mean, we kind of broke down the strategy of it, but when any memorable moments from this tribal specifically?
Well, we get Rock saying, today we're a bit more mellow. And when I heard something like that, I'm like, all right, famous last words. We're eating coconuts, not strategizing so much.
Head nodding,
Some of us have an understanding of what's happening tonight. So, can you define us for me, sir?
Yeah.
Me.
Everyone but him.
Mike says we didn't scatter today. We played it safe. Maybe everyone's just playing chicken. Romeo says it's an all-male tribe. Everyone did the all-male head nodding and grunting thing.
But wait, Wendell, if all the males grunt, how do I pick up the phone?
Yeah.
I'm
like, Brice, say good morning to me. Yeah. Like, matter of fact,
not true. Jack.
Bring. No, you gotta pick up your phone.
Oh.
Bring.
Is this conference call or
No, it's just me and Brice. Bring, bring.
Hello,
No, that's not how you answer your phone,
Okay.
Brice. You go, yeah.
so
Jack. How do I answer the phone when I call you?
I get more energy.
No,
it's
wait.
a-
Preference it. How do I answer the call? How do you receive me when it's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time?
I'm never up at that time, except for today. Are we talking like a late night call or like
Or
an
how do I
afternoon?
pick up on a late night call when I call you?
Yeah. So yeah, Brice and I love to just do when I'm like hammered. I just FaceTime Brice at like 4 a.m. and we just shoot the shit. But it'll be like, bring, or let's do the thing, Brice. Do the thing. Or it's a FaceTime though.
It's a
'Cause
FaceTime.
I don't know what Wen and Brice are doing, but Brice will hit me like, bitch, why is you still up? It's 6 a.m. And I'm like, Brice, it's 5 a.m. Central. He's like, I don't know how time zones work, bitch. It's 6 a.m. Go to sleep. Christine not gonna like this.
Okay, that's very
And then
accurate.
yeah. And I'm
So,
like, Brice,
okay.
okay. When's getting
This-
jealous, my fault.
This
Sorry.
explains a lot to me because you call him at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. Central.
Yeah.
And then when he calls, or when I call him at say 8 a.m. Eastern Standard, he gives me the yeah.
So that's not true. And also for anybody that's listening, first of all, I'm the one that would normally call Wendell at like 7:30, and Wendell's laying in bed with his breast out. Like, cover yourself, sir.
What do you want? You
Yeah.
sleep with like a shirt?
You were the
on,
one
Brice?
that called me. You intruded on me. What you mean? Cover yourself, sir. You called me with the
As
titties
soon as the
out.
phones ring, Wen has to jump out of bed and get a suit on.
No,
Wait,
like,
do you sleep with a shirt on, Brice?
do I?
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes
because you're knocking Wen for having no shirt when
you
he's
know,
in
it
bed.
Thank
depending
you, Jack.
depending who over, I might have some negligee on. I don't
Hey,
know.
what- I don't even know what is negligee.
Ex Christine with negligee.
Oh
Oh,
God!
don't do that.
Oh, Is-
I mean, Christine is
Oh.
kind of fine, but don't do that.
Ah!
Whoa!
Oh my
That's my
God!
mother.
Christine listens to the podcast.
I'm just joking.
I might
Christine
go back
is
on
a-
spring break.
Ah!
Guys, this is a serious
Wow.
pod. I don't know why you took it here.
we
Oh,
Not
man.
Jack
I
on
would
spring
never.
break. Simply decadence. Okay. Shout out to Jack's mom, Christine. We love you.
Sorry, Christine. I was just joking.
Were you?
No.
Okay, Jack. Okay, listen.
Just
Jack.
kidding, Jack. Jack, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so we're in.
I already know she's gonna text you like great podcast episode.
Oh, great pod.
Ted,
Okay.
that's my mom's boyfriend. Ted, get your woman's.
Ted's gonna choke me.
Latch the doors.
Oh my god.
Oh my God. Okay,
Oh,
sorry.
all
When
right.
the text message
I'm
comes
gonna be
through,
sick.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Jack. So anyway,
Sorry.
back to
Okay.
the episode. So basically, this tribal, they talk about the men doing the men's thing all day and grunting and dismissing the fact that they have a big decision, and then they get to vote.
Question.
Yes.
This could be kind of rude, but do you think Roxroy's strategic gameplay would be better if he communicated solely via grunt?
Oh.
He like looks at Romeo. He's like, "Mm?" And Jonathan's like, "Mm?" And they're like, and then that's the final two right there. I think Jonathan's communications might be better too if he was. only
Oh, okay,
grunting.
yes. Roxroy should teach that to Jonathan.
But sorry, but
Ultimately-
yeah,
Ultimately, our boy Rox goes home in a unanimous vote.
And not for nothing, because it clearly whenever Roxroy would go home, I would imagine it probably would be a blind side to him. So I just want to say that I feel like I wasn't there, but I feel like he went out gracefully, because he said goodbye to everybody, like he said good game. It didn't seem like negative, because
True.
if I'm going out, I'm
spicy.
So even when I did go
It's
out,
no spicy rock. It's a coy Roxroy.
right. So I thought, for him to be Yeah, for him to
Graceful.
go out, it was. But for me, after Rox went out, he joined with Chanel, and I thought what was the most interesting, which I feel like was the okay the prelude.
Yeah, the prelude
Oh, oh,
Well,
oh.
let's hear it.
or
Let's hear it.
precursor.
I
each
feel
book.
like the prelude to the rest of the 45 minutes of the episode that was headed that
Yep.
way was definitely this. And if you are not, make sure you are watching on the Brice Isaiah YouTube channel so you can see what we are watching. When I rewatched this, I just gave Rox that credit of how graceful he went out, but I think Rox sitting there and seeing their faces, I think the moment might have like, not that like, I don't think that he felt like, I felt like there was just some common understanding about their feelings. And I feel like the fact that Roxroy had been voted out, I think hit him because he had no emotion. And it wasn't until we saw these huge emotions from literally everybody walking in that you get to see a little bit more of a reaction from Rox. And for me, we haven't seen much of a reaction from Rox, like, this whole season. And it's like, because I had to watch this episode a couple of times. But again, it was when they started walking in and giving Rox that, like, look, oh my God, like, I can't believe it's you. I think that
And he gave him that the head nods.
Yeah, he was like, it was
it is.
Sure.
It was. That's what happened. Yep.
I will say, as much flack as I give Rox for, being kind of the older guy, like he still is like kind of cool as a cucumber. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just like he's got like a dad swagger about him.
He's
Now, you
still a
see
brother.
right
you
here
know what
too-
I'm saying? He's still.
Yeah. Where people are looking at him, he's just like, like
I mean,
They got your boy.
I will just got to show some love to Rox, but now that he's out, like I do want to. I don't know if he's a posse member, but some
hopefully.
seasons I talk about people when it comes back. So
They gonna see you one day. They gonna see you.
yeah.
If you have not, make sure you check the recap episodes of season 41 on the Purple Pants podcast to see what Jack is talking about. Also, Jack, if you were talking about a dad swag, I've said it once. I say it twice. Okay. If Wendy Z can talk about the queen that is Christine, we need to acknowledge the king that is Wendell Senior. Oh, okay.
I don't really know if I could fire back in this regard.
Listen,
go ahead,
Shout
Jack.
out to Wendell Senior.
Wendell's dad is the smoothest. First of all, I be getting flustered around him. Okay. He texted me the other day. Okay, said, "Hey, Colin." Okay,
He didn't even call him the right name.
He said, "Hey, Colin," and I just responded back. Okay,
Hey, Zaddy.
But also, before we dive into this deep conversation, because I feel like laughter is the key to the heart. Now, the one thing that is not smooth about Wendell Senior is his text messages. Okay, most people's text messages, boom. So one day we're in Wendell's basement watching one of his many shows on HGTV, and his whole family is there. And I happen to be, I don't know how it happened, but I happen to be sitting next to Wendell Senior. And the whole Wendell's basement is in the basement, and through the commercials.
No way, is it?
Believe it or not.
That's crazy.
If y'all don't know.
Don't do that. So we're sitting there, and we hear crick, 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 like a cricket sound. And I'm like, oh my God, Wendell got a cricket in the basement, but he got like a lot of people like in the basement. So like, I don't want to say nothing. And then you hear it again. Crick, 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 crick. And I look at Wendell, and Wendell look at me, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, what's going on? So then, like the whole time, and mind you, I'm sitting next to Wendell Dad, and Wendell Dad just sitting there. Wendell Dad got the Roxroy face on, like, and it wasn't until after the episode.
Does he have rec specs?
No, he doesn't. Wendell Dad don't got no rec spec, no nothing. But then it wasn't until after the episode, we all going upstairs. Crick, 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 crick. Not Wendell Dad pull his phone out of his pocket, and he's like, "Oh, cousin Reggie was texting me." Not. His dad got the cricket, like an actual.
Yeah,
And first
it's
of all,
a-
Wendell Senior, if you know you got crickets and you hear them through the episode, check your phone.
or
Okay, but
silence
that's
it. I don't know.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, that's
You don't
like the
gotta-
worst noise to have. Like in a like imagine you're at like a comedy show and you're getting it's like it's making cricket noises and I'm like, am I doing that bad? Like, and when Senior's like, nah, it's just cousin Reggie.
Just cousin
Well, let me
Reggie.
tell you, if you can't tell the black father to change his like, I can't be like, yo, pop, change your ringtone. That's not gonna go well for me. So I just let him, and me and my sister were like, his ringtone is crickets. Like that's what he does.
As a
It really
maturing
sounds like crickets.
young
though,
man,
like-
I said I do realize though it's kind of a funny little anecdote. Like when I was a youth, your parents do something that's not the most hip. You're like, we got to fix this. But now they do stuff that's not hip, and I just let it go. Like both my parents think the term like out of pocket.
no, Christine does not say that.
They think it means you
Something's
don't
on your-
have your phone. Like my dad, like a couple days ago, my dad was like, I'm on a company retreat at this ranch. Service is bad, so I may be out of pocket for a few days.
Oh,
And my mom has done the same thing. And I want to correct them, but I'm like, we could just let this slide.
Wow.
not Ben. Listen, Purple Pants Posse, your mission, if you choose to accept it,
Why you
we,
for both my parents, bro?
we need in those YouTube comments, okay, your best out of pocket sentence utilizing.
Yeah, misuse it. As
Well,
best
every
as you
time-
can.
Every time I'm on the island, I'm out of pocket.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Well, I was on the island and I seemed to be in pockets. So, okay. I had my phone.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
So yeah, everyone comes in super shocked,
mhm.
right? And we get Rox nodding his head, like, "Yeah, I'm out of here." Whether it's the looks on like Adrea and Marianne's face, which might be them seeing two black people sitting next to each other, one voted out after the other, or whether it's Roxroy seeing his allies like a Jonathan. Like Jonathan was shocked. They were working together. They were locked in. So whatever their connection was with this guy, everybody was shocked to see him there. Even Tori was like, so we have everyone with all of these super shocked reactions. And then Probst asks Drea, he says, what does this tell you? Seeing Roxroy over there, what does it tell you? And Drea is like trying to process it. She's like, I don't know. And then she says, you have to go back to the drawing board and see where you fit in. I see two people over there that I didn't think I'd see so soon, and it changes your mindset. What she means is she sees two black faces over there, kind of like shunned, kind of ostracized. They can't speak, but she sees two people that look like her over there, and she knows that she was the target for tonight. So no matter what led to the two of them sitting there, because she doesn't know what just happened to make Roxroy go, she sees that, and she knows that if she goes over there, she'll be the third. And I think that was a real shock to her system.
Yeah, I think it was a shock to a lot of people's system. And I think, Marianne, before we dive into it, she, had a lot to say. And I think she kind of sort of like kicks off the conversation. And so I think that before we dive into this conversation, I think that it's important for us to just address a couple of things. I think that it's important for us to address that. I'll speak for myself that I do not think that I do not think that Chanel's vote out was racially charged. I don't think Roxroy's vote out was racially charged. We've seen the episode, we just talked an hour about like why I thought like it should be Roxroy. However, I think that it's important for us to take into consideration, like, yes, this is a game. However, you come into the game with who you are outside. Like, we've talked intersectionality. I come into the game as a gay black man, and not knowing what has happened, for them to walk out there and to see two people of color on that bench it's jarring. It is triggering. So I just want to just start off there, because I think that a lot of people, I've been on the Twitters, I've been on the Reddit, and I've seen what a lot of people are saying. And they're like, oh, we are bringing race into this again. Well, convenient for you to say, because I don't live in a world, a day, a second that I am not aware that I am a gay black man. So nice of you all in Twitterland to like even want to go there, because it's like, you don't understand. And I understand that you don't understand, but understand that this is my experience. This is Marianne's experience. This is Drea's experience. I just kind of wanted to just start there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also a lot of people have takeaways from this, and depending on where you're from or what your bubble is, you will have a different takeaway from this, especially in what has become a country where being not politically correct is what's popular and cool and fun, and being able to say whatever you feel, even if it's racial slurs and anti-Semitic things and xenophobic things, in a country where this stuff is so prevalent now. It's and in a country where social media has allowed us to exist in all these bubbles, like the things that I see on a daily basis now shape and inform my viewpoint, whereas the things that someone in maybe Alabama might be a little different. So as they're watching it with their viewpoint, they might say, oh my goodness, I'm triggered right now because someone happened to mention race. And I might say, oh my goodness, I'm triggered right now because if I was Drea and I walked in there, I would feel the same way that she felt. So I think it's important to acknowledge that there are different opinions out there, and I think a lot of it is based in the bubble that we all sit in. But I think that trying to learn and understand a different perspective might help in this one. And I know it's like we're preaching to the choir here, because the Purple Pants posse is like, this awesome, diverse group of people that are very accepting, but I hope that we're able to, in this discussion that we will have for the next however long, half hour, 45 minutes, whatever, I hope we'll be able to at least express our different viewpoints on how we view exactly what happened. Because Twitter was ugly.
Yeah.
So Survivor's Instagram, the comments, ugly. And that's, I usually jump into those comments and say something, but I was like, I don't
It's like a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think my main takeaway from a lot of this, and just in terms of, like you said, seeing other people's perspectives and things like that, is people, and not even people love to look at situations like this and like very black and white. And I don't mean that like in a racial way, just in terms of like simplifying things, when in reality, and Wendell, this is something I remember you kind of like a phrase you used even like a long time ago in one of the episodes, is a lot of different things can be true here, especially if you take into consideration everybody's perspective. Like Brice said, were Chanel and Roxroy's eliminations based on race? No, it doesn't seem like it. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge, of course, there's implicit biases that are occurring in a game. And then also, you can't, like you guys said, if you're Drea and you come in and you see two black people on the jury, and then also, I think people are overlooking the fact that the only names they had heard were Marianne and Drea. And so even if you're Drea and you think you're safe, like the name you have is Marianne. Now, I don't think, the way I interpreted what they were saying, like they said, they weren't accusing anyone of like racism or anything like that. But at that point, you're just putting a third black person on the jury is kind of perpetuating a pattern that they just simply don't want to see. And they have every right to not want to see that. So that's kind of, and in the moment, it's so emotional. It's like, that's their perspective. They're gonna say it, and it's like a very justified perspective. So, even if people had issue with the way they said it, which I don't, but some people might, it's like that's their perspective. It's very legitimate. So it's like it doesn't even necessarily have to do with it, especially given the fact that at this point they hadn't seen season 41 where the dynamic was changing for them from in the moment. This is the first season since the diversity initiative, and the fact that I think if you go in, you'd be so stoked with the diversity you see. So then it's like, why is this still happening? I feel like is the but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's like there was no from their standpoint, it was like really what I felt like it boiled down to. There was no accusations. It was just like, this is a pattern we don't want to see, and so we're just gonna play our idols and stop it. Like, yeah, that's how they felt, and that's like a legitimate perspective. So obviously they're gonna say something. So it's the whole thing of like, oh, why do we have to bring race into this? It's like it's a social game. Like, that's part of social interaction. So you can't just watch Survivor in this day and age, or you can't really watch anything and just expect race and diversity to not play a factor.
Yeah. I definitely want to get back to your point of like them playing the idol, and we can get to that when we just continue the conversation. Another thing that I wanted to bring up during this time, I think that Marianne very eloquently had stated, because she mentioned the diversity initiative, and even with the diversity initiative, we are still seeing things like this happen. And Marianne made such a great point about the diversity initiative that, like, and I just want to be clear that me being a part of the diversity initiative was not to be just Black people. Like, I want to see more Black people. For me, the diversity initiative was, I want to see more people of color. I want to see more Black people. I want to see more LGBTQ plus. I want to see more Muslim players. I want to see more transgender players. I want to see a spectrum. That's what I mean by diversity. And so I was very happy that Marianne had mentioned Omar. He was the first Muslim player to make the merge, if not Karishma, or like Karishma, besides them, the only two. And so
I don't know if Karishma's Muslim though. I think Omar. I'm not certain, but I think Omar is the first Muslim player to make the merge.
Yes, but again, and this is 2022 that we are here, and again, that is a part of the diversity initiative, and it is to bring more awareness and perspectives. And I was having a conversation with Wendell when we were driving to New York, where I was explaining to him that if it were Romeo and not Roxroy in the jury, I would have the same reaction that I am having now, not just because Romeo is a part of the LGBTQ plus, but Romeo is a minority. And again, the same argument that they are talking about right now would still be true, that it's Chanel and Romeo, two minorities. Historically in Survivor, the people that get picked off first are minorities, women, and like LGBTQ plus of color. So I say this topic to say that, like, I am very passionate about this, not just because of, it is Black people that are on there, it's minorities. And I think that I was just very happy to see Marianne express that during this time, because again, I'm on the Twitters, I'm on the Reddits. Oh, it's a Black thing, it's a this and that. And again, a lot of them are missing the point. But I just wanted to just put that out there, that was the point of the diversity initiative, to get more diversity, not just in one area, but in all areas where there are underrepresented people in this country, for them to be able to have a voice, and especially on a show like Survivor.
I do have to chime in real quick though, and this almost speaks to the success of that diversity initiative. That tribe that Roxroy ran home from was all POC. So whoever, you had Roxroy, Mike, Hai, Romeo, and Omar were all minorities in a sense. So in a way, whoever went home, it was going to be a person of color.
That's a good point. I think Mike identifies as white. He's Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I know he's Puerto. Yeah.
But when I was having that conversation with Brice, and he said that he would have felt the same about Romeo sitting there, I don't think I would have had the same reaction seeing Romeo sit there than I would have in seeing a Chanel and a Roxroy sitting there. And So I'd love to hear from like the listeners in the comments, like how they would feel, because Brice is a gay black man, and Brice, we were having this conversation and we weren't on the same page, and I'm trying to figure out
I'm just trying to reiterate that the trend in Survivor is, again, not just black people going home early. It is women going home early. It is LGBTQ plus of color. It is minorities. It is, again, the others of the society. And again, right now we have two black people of color, black Chanel and Rocks, and they are minorities. They are like, they in the realm of society, they are othered. And for me, it would have been Romeo. For me, it's just that for me, I would have had that same knee-jerk reaction, because for me.
So what about the other I'm sorry to interrupt. What about like the other members of that tribe? Would it have been for any of them?
So yes, but again, I don't want to necessarily dive into like my personal opinion on that, because there is like race and the construct in this country is so deep, and my personal thoughts on that, and I don't want to go there, but I am saying, like, yes, I would have felt some type of way. However, I think the point of the match, and I'm just speaking from my position, and I understand that you guys don't see it, and what I am trying to model
I see
here,
what you're saying.
no, right. But what I'm trying to model here, and I don't know if anyone else is catching it, is that, like, if that were me, that would be my knee-jerk reaction. And listen to Wendell and Jack trying to understand my perspective on why I would feel so hot. And again, if anyone is questioning or like understanding the Jonathan aspect of it, it is very similar to what had happened at Tribal. Marianne and Drea saw two black people, like two, like, like they tribe, they like, and they had a reaction. They're not accusing. I'm not accusing Wendell of being, oh, you homophobic, you don't get the seat. Like, you know what I'm saying? It is like, that is my experience, and that's how I would feel. I'm not putting that on anybody else. And I appreciate you guys allowing me to speak and understanding my perspective on it.
Absolutely. And I think even like, of course, the social relevancy of it is hugely important, and like that's what we're here to talk about. But even from a Survivor standpoint, I think if you notice a trend or a pattern of people that are like you starting to go, that's gonna lead to that, like you said, knee-jerk reaction. Like, obviously not not comparable, but say I'm
All
one of
big men.
3 20-year-olds in the game and everyone else is older, and the 20-year-olds start getting picked off. I might be like, shoot, are we getting targeted for? And like that translates, especially on another level when it comes to things like race and sexuality, where it's a much bigger factor. So like you said, like they noticed that pattern, and they also, like I said, for as far as they knew, they were each other's targets. So to not want to continue that pattern is completely like so reasonable, I feel like.
And even if, like, hypothetically, if the all men alliance worked, and you have and the remaining women start seeing women voted out, and you have a woman sitting there saying, I just watched y'all vote out
every woman,
so
exactly.
I'm gonna do something to protect myself. Now, in that case, it will be, the men have a men alliance, they're voting for women. In this case, we didn't see them say, we're targeting Chanel because she's a black woman, we're targeting Roxroy because he's a black man. But in walking in that tribal, Drea saw herself in those people sitting there, and she didn't want to see herself as the third person sitting there. So she brought it up, and there was a point when she said, I think Probst said, so the Roxroy vote is going to influence this vote. And Drea said this was to start the conversation. She said, I was so proud because we had 4 black contestants on Survivor. And then to see black contestants get voted out, boom, 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 right now, you're seeing it. And that's that's the effect that's happening. No matter what led to those people getting voted out there, that is what we're actually seeing happen. And she's the target next, and the fallback target is the other black person. That
Yeah.
so go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, and again, like it happens over and over and over again. And again, like Drea said, what was the order in with Aaron and Missy?
It was Jamal,
Mm-hmm.
and then Aaron and Missy.
Okay. Do you remember my order in Cagayan?
No.
Myself,
I do.
Jatia, Cliff Robertson.
Wow.
Like so it's just, yeah. And again, like you guys were saying, if it were like the 23-year-olds, if everyone was targeting that and someone spoke up against that, do you think there would be this outcry on the Twitches and the Instagrams if they spoke up about that? Like,
True.
you know, it's frustrating at times because it's as clear as day to me. And again, it's unconscious bias. And, you know, no one's, that's a thing. And we all have it, you know, whoever it's towards, like, you know, we all have it. But again, it's being able to hear someone else's perspective, not get defensive, not get like, you know, and hear them out. And I think that is really all, you know, Drea and Marianne were having a moment, you know, like a real life moment, because again, we know the ramifications of things like this. For us, it's not just Survivor. For us, it's us getting killed in the street. For us, it's us getting locked up and, you know, charged with things at a much higher rate. Like, you know, it's for us, it's a pattern of our whole lives. Like, you know, it's not just a Survivor that we could, like, you know, like that's what we bring into the game. So I can't leave that out of the game. And I'm sorry if I don't have the luxury to come into this game and just let everything go and play the game. So I get it. I completely get it. I get the other side of it. And again, that's where I am trying to work on my compassion and my empathy for the people that don't get it. But is it that you don't get it or that you don't want to get it? Because
we'll get there.
Care.
We'll get there when we get to Jonathan's statement. There's a point when after Drea says, like, I'm seeing black people voted out, boom, boom, boom. Probe says, do you think it was race related? And that's when Drea says it might be subconscious. She said, I'm playing my idol tonight so I can stay in the game. I'm not going to let that happen to another one of us. It's a reset for me, and this is a game changer. At that point, Jonathan starts whispering to Drea first. What did he say? He says, what do you want to do? Drea says, Tori. And then he tells that to Marianne and to Lindsay. So the plan is Tori because, you know, Drea is going to play her idol. Tori says, I support Drea using her idol if she wants to make a stand, but I don't think using the idol is necessary. So like this whole time watching Tori's in a weird space because the votes are about to fall on her, but she doesn't want to be a bad person and not receive these words the wrong way. So she's saying, I support her taking a stand, but I don't think you need to use the idol. Which I get that I get that stance. I get it. I understand.
It's a weird position for sure.
Yeah. And then we get to that. Drea says that's because she's not in my shoes. I'm going to strategically play my game the way it should be played. And that's when we got that clip from Marianne where she says, I can't vote for Drea tonight. And I think in opening up that conversation, that race conversation from Drea, then it struck a chord in Marianne, and you really see this very impassioned, very smart young lady saying, and she started by saying it to her group and leaving Drea out. And then she said, you know what? Everyone can hear it. I'm going to say it to everyone. I can't vote out Drea right now. I saw these two black players voted out. And then I think we get this interjection from Jonathan.
Like this is
anybody want to start?
Sure. Again, my mom always says a hit dog hollers. And I'm going there because I just feel like n- I understand race is a can be an uncomfortable subject. I get it, I utilize the Purple Pants podcast as a platform to have conversations about race, about sexual identity, about different things that are uncomfortable conversations. I get it. Um, but that reaction to that for me was like, well, nobody's talking to you. Nobody said that, like, you guys are out. Like, no one said that. So that for me was just so surprising. And then it's just like, Drea saying to you, like, first of all, Drea being clearly emotional, clearly,
Mhm.
half the time of the episode, she has a hoodie over her head and she's like in the fetal position. Like nothing about that is aggressive. Um, and we know the stereotypes that Black women get in this country, okay? That they're aggressive, they're loud, they're like, and for her to say, please stop treating me like I'm being aggressive. You are like, sir,
Yeah.
it just is like, oh, like, and again, you could say wherever you are from, wherever, like, you don't, but like it's 2022. And for me, it's like I'm tired of giving people passes. Like I just like I'm tired. I like, and again, this is just from my perspective. It's like I don't treat anybody if I'm wrong, if I say something to offend somebody, tell me. Let me know. I want to know because I know what it's like to be disrespected. I know what it's like to not have a voice. I know what it's like to look at being seen as other. I know what it's
Mhm.
like for you to go to church and people tell you you go in hell. Like I know what that's like. So again, it is for me the privilege in this scene for these two beautiful Black queens to just share their perspectives on a national platform, knowing they playing the game for $1 million. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And for this person,
Never saying his name. Never saying anything about Jonathan.
Yeah.
But go
never
on.
said, for this person to then interject his emotion, because now we have to hear from him, his emotion, and telling them what they are doing. And when they try to explain to said person, they then shut them down and say that they're being aggressive. It's just like, again, I want to try and give this person the benefit of the doubt. However, I can just only think about to my interaction
Mhm.
with this person of me being a Survivor player, showing this person love, sending my posse over there to send love, and you turn the comments off. And so for me, what does this lead me to believe? And I'm not saying that two things are the same, but I'm just saying I can put two and two together. And it's just like, whoo. And for me, I'm sorry, I don't mean to just be going crazy, but like this, like for me, what's even more disgusting is the comments, the people. Thank you for standing up. Somebody had to say something. Like, it's just like, ugh.
Now that you say that, Brice, let me tell what's crazy. So we might have our own whatever with Jonathan on this podcast. For those of you listening for the first time, a matter of weeks ago, Brice saw Jonathan carry a ladder, and Brice said he wants to be the ladder. Okay. So a lot of our Purple Pants posse went to John. I gave him a follow right there on the podcast. A lot of our Purple Pants posse went to Jonathan's comment because he posted that ladder photo, and they said, Brice is the ladder. A bunch of people wrote it. It was a joke. We thought it was funny. And then when we checked back in on those comments a few days later, the comments were turned off. Okay.
The only post.
That was, he turned them off, right?
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to what could have been his worst episode last night. And I looked at the comments on his page, maybe yesterday or whenever I looked at the comments on this page after he posted something after this episode or whenever he posted it, and it's a collection of people supporting him for silencing these two women. It's a million comments of people supporting that, and he didn't turn those comments off. We showed love literally a month and a half ago, and he turned the comments off. So I find it strange that now is the time you leave them on, but when some a black dude and a gay black dude are showing you love on you, and the whole Purple Pants posse showing you love, that's when you turn it off. I also
former survivors, not just
we're
be
not just
specific,
nobody.
a winner.
Further, I'd almost venture to say that had he, just been able to take a joke back then and laughed it off, or even responded to us or something, then maybe last night's episode or 2 nights ago's episode, maybe we might be in here having a different conversation about him, even despite him talking over them. We might say something, we might give him a little more grace, but right now, and I'm going to try to give him some grace. I'm going to charge this to his head and not his heart. I'm going to say Jonathan is ignorant and doesn't know and just wanted to say something and say that maybe he is a good guy in his heart, but I think he's not smart enough to understand that that's not how you respond to that kind of information. Rather, you might want to receive it, listen to it, try to empathize, try to put yourself in their shoes and understand that people are from a different bubble than you.
Definitely. No, I didn't know about those two comment interactions, but that's exactly what you hit the nail on the head though. Like I feel like my role in these discussions is like kind of that of the ally. And so I feel like I'm talking to some of the audience that might be from my bubble and trying to help, become a better ally. And for you guys, like a lot of, mending these, I guess you want like racial, social fences is patience and empathy. But I could see like, it's hard for y'all to have that for someone who's on TV, not having that for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's frustrating he's not having that time for y'all. And this is something I'm sure you guys have experienced throughout your life being black men. And then it's, how are you going to you can't always then give that back. You know what I mean? Like that's the frustration I feel like, and that's so valid. But it's like, I feel like it's not his heart, but it's his head. But at some point, like, what can you really, like, you can only have so much patience for that.
And again, the two things are very separate. Like, so let's just be clear. Like, they're very separate. Telling, but very separate. And again, I am sitting on this podcast, commentating on what I see and my reaction to it. I am not condemning the man. I am just saying, like, repulsed at the behavior that I seen tonight, and just handling this situation. For me, it's just, I like. But at times I am with Wendell. Like, I want to show empathy and I want to lead by example, because again, I do not know this man. I do not know what is in his heart. I do not know his background. I can only hope that after seeing this, that there is a spot in his heart and mind that can open a little bit. And I realize that change does not happen overnight. I realize that, sometimes change happens in personal and small interactions. And so again, how we went into CBS, we did not call them out. We called them in. And so clearly we're not the people to call him in, but I can only hope that there is somebody in his world, his life, that's seen the episode or just something that he is able to listen and understand that no one was attacking you. And, we saw your story. You know, I don't know what it implies with your relationship with your father, but you know, like people can empathize with that. And you know, there are a lot of people out there that have, you know, not great relationships with their parents. And it's like, you know, that same love and that same empathy that you want for that like people give to you. It's like, you know, humble yourself.
For Jonathan to, like Brice said, it's about not calling people out, but calling people in. When you're listening to someone that's hurt, you want to listen. You want to listen to them, and you want to understand what they're going through, and you don't want to make it about yourself. And in Jonathan's case, if we can, because I'd like this to be a moment for people, because there are a lot of people that are commenting, supporting Jonathan right now. If those people are listening, or people that are confused on how to receive someone saying, this is what I see and this is what I feel, instead of Jonathan making it it sounds like you're calling me racist moment. That's very self-centered. That's him taking it and putting it on himself. He said, I don't think this is right. Y'all are coming at us like we're racist. It doesn't mean that it has anything to do with race. That's the game. And to Drea, you're being aggressive. And there's so much in that. I was called aggressive by Parv on Winners at War. I was not being aggressive to Parv. Calling a black woman aggressive. Like, not only did he say they're calling him something racist, blah, blah, blah. Oh, make it about you, big, strong man on a tribe full of all women. Make it about you, but also call a woman a minority, the one that's on the chopping block, the one that y'all plotted to kick out. You're now calling her aggressive. After earlier in that episode, calling Lindsay, saying that she's getting worked up. We've been seeing a pattern of projection out of Jonathan, and
perpetuating stereotypes is
and I think for the people that said, hey, that's how I feel, like whenever black people talk about race, then this person in Jonathan's shoes feels attacked. I guarantee you, I don't love talking about race. I don't want to talk about race. I'm exhausted from talking about race. And if it exhausts you from hearing about race, please imagine what decades and centuries of a certain culture has gone through for us to have to share this and have these uncomfortable conversations. I hate having these conversations. So if you hate hearing about them, then maybe something should change. Maybe you should start truly listening so that something bigger can change.
I go deeper. You say y'all hate hearing about it. Try living it. Like,
imagine being on the other end.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but I'm trying not to allow my emotions to get to myself. Also, I want to kudos Lindsay in this moment, because I feel like Jonathan made this blanket statement. Y'all are making us feel like, and I was so happy to hear from Lindsay to say, actually, I feel quite the opposite. I can empathize with what y'all are going through. And, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but like, sorry if this has made y'all feel this way, but not the intent. That, like, you know what I'm like? Thank you, Lindsay.
Yes.
That's an ally.
Thank you. And sorry to cut you off, Jack. And I'll go as far to say, Tori, Miss Mamas was like, that ain't how I feel. But y'all come, and again, I'm paraphrasing. This is what I got from it. I got from Tori, like, that ain't how I feel, sis. But I'm playing the game, and, you know, I'm at the bottom.
Because you're coming from me.
Right. And so here's the thing, though. Like, although the moment like kind of a little weird, but like I can get that. Not Tori being like, I'm not racist, and I like, you know what I mean? Like there's a difference, and it's the tone, it's the body language, it's the again, like I can appreciate Tori's honesty in that moment from her position. And I truly wish that I could say the same for Jonathan, that I could say, well, I appreciate, like, you know, like for me, it's just like, okay, not
Yeah.
surprised.
Why do you feel the need to scream that you're not racist? Like if I'm a like a vegan, if I'm a vegan and there's some like chicken wings on the counter and a couple are missing, and Brice, you walk in and I'm like,
"Where
I
the
wasn't
chicken wings at?"
eating no chicken wings or something. It's like
you
Yeah.
know,
if you feel that need to say that before, and we weren't even talking about those chicken wings, or like we weren't even calling you racist. We were saying how we felt when we saw two people that looked like us sitting on the jury.
and to go even more deeper, like I feel like the point that Jonathan is missing, that I feel like a lot of America that is like what these comments are missing, is that again, it's an awakening in themselves. Marianne was on the side to get Drea out. Drea was on the side to get Marianne out. Like they are having an epiphany right now. Like it is nothing to do with you. And I see the comments. Oh, but y'all was about to get they was about to get you out. You was about to get them out. Like, what? Do you not understand what a trigger some reaction can do? When you listen to some podcasts and they talk before they talk about sexual assault, or before they talk about, you know, what do they say? Trigger warning. There was no trigger warning for them. Again, most people don't. Well, why do you need to do that? Well, like this is our lived experience, and that's what, like for me, I just wish that other people could understand that in that moment, why it's such a, for me, a person of color, seeing Marianne and Drea be so honest and vulnerable, and watching them having that own awakening, and and again, I feel like this is the plight of a Black person, a person in this country. You can't even have your own damn emotions, okay? Then you got to be accused of you got to be accused of calling somebody racist, and then we got to stop having our moment, and then we got to show you empathy. We got to show that the way they coddle him. No, I love you. I respect you. I'm not saying that like if you knew how many hats us as Black people have to wear in this country, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch that scene when them Black women are having an epiphany, like questioning themselves, you know, in this game, and then to be accused, and then you want to call this Black woman aggressive, but how quickly does she put her own damn feelings aside to tell you that you're not racist, that I love you? But y'all ain't see that though. Y'all ain't see that. I'm so
drop. Jack?
No. I mean, I agree with everything. Yeah, I can't say it better than that. Like the maturity and patience they showed to I mean, just so it's like immediately, like you said, like I immediately put their feelings aside and made sure Jonathan was good, which is
Make
not
sure he
how
was
it,
okay.
it's not how it
he
should
was
be.
okay.
Like, yeah, but
You okay, buddy? You're not racist. I love you. Give me a hug. Like,
yeah, and
so
no, yeah,
that's all
100%.
right. We have another Marianne quote. She said, Brice, do you have that video?
I think I do. But again, that to me is just called y'all aggressive, and yet we are still with love. Listen, like hear Marianne's voice. Like, you know, like I am pleading with you to, in my time of figuring out my own issues, that like to know that I would never put that on you. I am like, yeah.
And they're literally saying something that has the potential to tank their game.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Oh,
and also,
they brought race in. Let's vote them out, or whatever. However, things are going to happen back in camp. I don't think it's going to be that way because of this cast and who they are. But that could have been something that, going back to a cast 10 years ago, could tank their game. I don't know. One of them might get voted out next week.
Yeah, and it's like Marianne and Drea are just speaking their mind, but also this some of the statements Jonathan's disagreeing with. It's just like for Marianne to say that there's people have subconscious bias. He's like, that's just a fact. Like you don't have to extrapolate it and be like, oh, so I'm subconsciously racist. Like, A, maybe a little bit, but B, like everyone has subconscious biases. Like you don't have to get so defensive about that. Like you could just acknowledge that. Yeah, and like you said earlier, I wanted to give a little love to Lindsay, Brice, because you like as I was watching the episode, I said to my aunts, I was like, good on Lindsay. Like she's sitting there, mouth closed, listening and taking everything in. And then she had like one line towards the end where she dropped a lot of good insight. And like, that's how it should be. And it doesn't, it's like, you sometimes, and like you guys said, like earlier when you guys were talking about like the people being like, oh, why do we have to keep hearing about this? I was thinking like the way I thought about it is like, you're hearing about it because you're not actually listening. And if you listen and you process, then it's not going to be an issue for you. And then you don't have to hear about it because people make adjustments. But if it's something you're not taking in, you're going to keep hearing it. Like it's, you know what I mean? It's like it's kind of like an echo chamber. Like it's going to keep bouncing around until it goes into your brain. So yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
We get a quote from Marianne when she says, coming into this game, my biggest fear was that I'd see some kind of injustice and sit without making anything happen. I don't know the whole story about Chanel and Roxroy, but if I let the pattern continue, that will be an injustice for me. Now I have to incorporate this into the way I play my game. Even talking to Omer, there's never been a Muslim that made the merge, and that influences his game, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse. Some people don't have to play the game with this kind of burden. We all have a 1 in 18 shot because we all have this 1 in 18 shot, but because we all have burdens or privileges, that 1 in 18 shot might be bigger or smaller for some people, and that sucks. There's so much brilliance in what she said there. So much. Because people do come into the game with whatever it is that they carry into the game. Omer is one of few Muslims to ever play the game. Omer's playing a masterful game, but still, I'm sure he has considerations of how he'll be portrayed and how this group of people will receive a Muslim praying on national TV primetime, and how this group of people will receive this person saying lies or doing something sneaky. In Marianne's case, a black woman coming on, a young black woman coming on who is talkative and has lots of personality, people might receive her any kind of way. There are there's so much added stuff that certain people have to come into the game with. In my case, go ahead, Brice. What
I just wanted to say to like, just to even be more specific about Marianne, because she's not a young black woman, a young African woman. And like, let's not even break that down. You know, Marianne family not being like the things that how even Marianne has to identify within the black community. But that's just a subject for a different day. But I'm just saying like the complexities of it. And yet here, Marianne's in Canada. The race issue in Canada is a little different. But here she is still showing up. Like it's so much that people are missing because it's race. And it's like, and it's just so much that they are missing, but so much that I don't miss and that I see and am just grateful for people like Marianne to speak her truth and to step out that could potentially, like y'all said, tank her own game. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, I just know that during Ghost Island, there were things that I absolutely was never going to do out there. I wasn't going to talk politics. Wasn't going to talk race. Like I said, I don't like talking race. I love fighting for equality. I don't love talking about all the bad things that happen to black people. I'd love to be that guy that never talks, but sadly, this is, I feel a need to speak about it sometimes. And on Ghost Island, like I said, not talking race, not talking politics. And
Religion.
I mean, I didn't talk. I don't think I talked religion out there. Um, I was, I don't know who I was telling this. I was laying next to someone when we were sleeping that was singing the YG song "My Nigga, My Nigga." I had to say something to him at that point on Ghost Island. I had to say something to him. But again, I I had to be very like deliberate in my words and my delivery, and the fact that I just was able to say something quietly to him right then and there, like, hey, you don't want to be singing, like, that's not a good look, don't do that, you shouldn't do that. But I'm not going to go in my I can't make a stink about it in my confessionals as much as I wanted to, say something and say how that affected me at that moment. Nah, I had to keep it really locked in. And these are these additional burdens, because if I didn't say something and if that aired and then I looked like the guy that just was standing idly when this guy was saying the most offensive word to black people, like, even though it's a song, no, you should not say that word. So there are these added burdens that people come in with, and there are added privileges that people come in with.
Yep.
And so it I understand. That speech of hers had me in tears. Like, I understood everything she was saying, and I just wish that, and I understand it because I lived the experience. I just wish that people that didn't live the experience, and there are a lot of them, and a lot of our listeners are those kinds of allies, people that didn't live that experience. I just wish that they can understand this different walk of life.
Yeah. I can I just fast forward real quick to like my point of when then Marianne, then Drea says she's playing her idol. And Marianne says, I too have an idol and I'm going to play it to stop this. And I really think that that point has gone over people's head. And again, I said this point kind of sort of earlier, but I tweeted playing both idols was a statement. And so many comments under it. Oh, of course they had to play it. It would only be fair. Like, all of these type of comments. And it's just like, again, when I say that people of color in this country have to wear so many different hats, Drea and Marianne, we literally watched in these 30 minutes them be traumatized, triggered, accused, to comforting, to having to explain no. And then because and kudos to, I understand Drea playing her idol because she was the target, but kudos to Marianne, because clearly Marianne was like, we brought up race, so now I have to play my idol, because if I don't play my idol, America at home is going to say I weaponized race. And so this young lady has to now give up potentially $1 million by playing this idol, because like now she is unsafe on a subject that like because how she was feeling. But she played that idol to basically be like, y'all can't say that we did, like, you like again, like, do you can you try to articulate what I'm trying to say, Wendell? Because it's like, so not only like do you have to feel some type of way, but now she is playing her idol so that y'all with the Twitter fingers and on the Reddits don't have nothing to say, and you shouldn't have to play Survivor for the people at home for Reddit. That's not fair. That's not fair.
She called them on. She called them on TV. She predicted exactly what would happen,
and it's still happening.
And it still is
happening. And people are saying she had to. And I'll be honest. I'm gonna be honest, because I don't lie here on this podcast. If I was in Marianne's shoes, I don't know if I would have played my idol. I don't know if I'm that strong of a person in giving those moments. Like I don't know.
Yeah, because No, she knew what people were gonna say, took the step to prevent that, and it still is happening. And like clearly, you know, I assume she would have been all right if she didn't play her idol, right? Tori probably would have gone home. So clearly, like you said, it's not at this point. Her talking about race is hurting her game. So it's clearly she's making a stand. And like you said, I mean,
do you think you should have to play Survivor for
no.
Twitter and Reddit while you out there in the middle of being traumatized? Like again, and that and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, my frustration is that this young lady, these ladies specifically played the idol for that reason. And they are like, what more do you want? Like that's the part where for me, it's like so frustrating. And again, I keep trying to like keep hearing Wendell, like maybe I'm in my own bubble and like, people that don't get it, but it's like, to the Survivor players out there, like they're playing an unnecessary idol so that you can't say that this unprovoked triggering, because who can identify when you're going to be triggered? I didn't know that, like, that is something that, because if you have that, could you let me know? Because I would love that, because I would just keep my happy gay behind home so I don't get triggered when I, like, you know what I mean? Like, to not know that you will be triggered and then to have to, it's just like, for me, it's just so disheartening that they even had to play it like that. And again, kudos to them. Like, my hat's off. And yeah.
So they both played their idols to say we're making it another night, not because of race, but because we did something in the game.
To earn it.
We earned these in the game, and we're using these, and we will see you tomorrow, Jeff. And whatever bubble it was decided to go off on them, and on Survivor, the I'm not watching Survivor crew came back and said, the come on in guys crew came in and said, they're using race, they're pulling the race card, this, that, and the third. No, we used what we earned to earn us another night. But we brought up the fact that we're making an observation that two people that look like us are sitting over there, and the other two targeted people are the two of us. So we're going to save ourselves. But we're going to call you guys out on the fact that you're going to say that we pulled the race card to earn another day. So they use their idols. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, and yet that's where y'all send y'all energy at. But yet Jonathan's comments are filled with, thank you for speaking up. Yeah. So glad you did it. It's just like,
so,
oh my God.
And we have some questions from Twitter that we do want to get into, but we need to talk about how the rest of Tribal goes as far as they prematurely play their idols. So now they're sitting there knowing that they can't go home. Jonathan has the immunity necklace. There's Lindsay and there's Tori. So it has to be one of them. And Probst says, we don't even have to go up to the booth right now. We can have this discussion right here. And what do you guys think about that?
I just want to say my reaction for Tori, I feel like, has changed from the beginning. I feel like, I don't know, something about Tori that I like and I respect. And I ain't even mad that, because again, if I try to put myself in other people's shoes, if I were Tori, I probably be like, just send my ass home. Like, send my ass home. And like, for Tori to be like, bish.
She turned. She talked to them.
Put that, give me that shot in the dark. Like, I ain't even mad, sis. And I definitely, from the first edit of Tori, I was just like, oh girl, her going back for Roxroy. But then really seeing her evolution, winning these immunity challenges, seeing her work with Marianne, seeing her work with other people, I dare I say I'm a Tori fan.
I think we had that same sentiment maybe last week, I think
Right.
we started like coming around because her edit started a little silly or whatever, and I think I'm a fan. Like, and at the end of this, even when it's down to her, who everyone wants to vote out, and
Yeah.
Lindsay, she turns and she's like, "All right, why you voting for me? Why you voting for me? All right, not true, but all right." And so like
Yeah.
she
She's
still
fighting
was
for it.
trying to work them
Right.
angles.
Jonathan was like, because I'm closer with her than with you. And she's like, okay, it's
Right.
interesting. Like, are
And
you sure? She's
there's
like,
something that I appreciate about Tori is that, like, because Jeff, they didn't even vote because Jeff is like, we just had this serious conversation. It's a little uncomfortable. What y'all want to do? And I don't know if anyone has ever been at that, like, that uncomfortable family Thanksgiving or
yeah.
Christmas where that sibling, the uncle, something, and then it's just like, okay, what are we gonna do? And then it's that one family member that's like, could you pass me that macaroni? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was Tori getting back into the gameplay,
Yeah.
and I appreciated it in a way of like, not just like I again, there's something about, I feel like, the intention when like if someone has a good intention or somebody like I feel like you can feel it, and so I just I was not mad at Sister Girl Tori.
Yeah, yeah, we rock with Tori. She plays her shot in the dark,
It
and I'm
stayed
like,
dark.
if there's ever a time for a shot in the dark to
Yeah.
work,
I
man.
thought it might. Here's the thing. I was a little confused about the logistics of this shot in the dark. And I don't know if we really have the answer to this, because the whole time right now, since the merge, they said there's two safes and 10. There's 12 scrolls, 2 are safe, 10 aren't safe. If I'm lit, I have to imagine that for this little tribe breakup, the smaller ones, they must have gone back to the one safe, 5 not safe. Because if I'm Lindsay, I would also just play my shot in the dark, because if Tori gets safe, there's one more safe in there. I might as well use that, try to get that too, which would have been crazy because then everyone would have been safe. But honestly, even outside of that, if I'm Lindsay, now in the moment it's very hard to know this, but if I'm Lindsay, I'm just gonna be like, well, I'm gonna play my shot in the dark before Tori, because then I could get this. I take away a chance of her getting that safe. Like, you know what I'm
That's
saying?
smart. Well, yeah, that's really smart. But for that first example with, you wouldn't know it, like. So how would it work? Would they'd go up, pull it, come down, give it to Jeff. Jeff would open it, and then the other one would go up and pull it, or do
I think
everyone goes up?
they all go up, both
Yeah.
pull it, and then they both play it.
Right.
And that's assuming that there's the 2 and 12
Yeah.
chance, which is 1 and 6. But they didn't say it in the episode, but I'm guessing they went back to the 1 and 6, because obviously if they somehow got the 2 and 12, which would have been like a 0.3% chance that happens, they'd both be safe, and then everyone would be safe. So then that really can't happen. I guess Sari would go home or something. I don't know, but
Really?
because in Game Changers, everyone
Yeah.
else
Oh,
got
that's right,
safety,
that's
and she
right, that's
automatically went home.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously it worked out, like, no problems. But I was sitting there being like, well, Lindsay could play her shot in the dark too, and then it could have gotten messy. But I did think, if there, like you said, if there's ever a time that the shot in the dark was gonna work, I thought it might have been right there, because they kind of built it up.
Yeah. And then Lindsay went home.
Tori.
And then Tori, sorry, not Lindsay, Tori. I just wanted to like bring up another so just the previews for the next episode. For me, I got a chuckle because I felt like Mike was miking. Like the snippet that it got, it seemed as if like he was like, upset at High for making him switch his vote, which I thought was like why I love Mike, because like, but Mike, you voted for Rocks. Like, so like, but I don't know what happened. But again, I just love the fact that like Mike, stay down.
Real quick, just back to the tribe. I do think we've given Lindsay a lot of credit this episode, but the fact that she was one of 2 options and nobody even put her name out there is really impressive. Like, and she has not been getting a lot of airtime, but clearly her finger's kind of on the pulse of the game.
Now with Drea having an extra vote, with Marianne having an extra vote.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Were there any other could things have shaken up differently? Could someone have said something to someone at that moment that would have swayed things to Lindsay? Is there a way
I just don't like Drea dislikes Tori enough at this
Right.
moment where she's happy to get her.
Yeah.
Jonathan would prefer to get Tori. Marianne obviously has kind of been working with Lindsay. Like this particular with Tori just kind of being so disposable to them. Like I think they were just happy to go with that. But it would be interesting, say it's not a Tori and it's someone else, and Marianne and Drake could be like, all right, now maybe we use our extra vote and get Jonathan's ally Lindsay out and break up that Taku fort. Granted, Marianne's kind of a part of the Taku fort, but if the numbers and the dynamic was a little bit different, there could have been opportunity for a big move. Now, off the tail of that intense tribal, it would be a little crazy if somehow someone just then dropped a big like Drea pulls out her whole bag. She's like, game's reset, I'm playing all my advantages.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely I mean Tori, yeah.
And also going forward, now with Drea with the knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she know. I mean,
She
Marianne
knows Mike.
doesn't. Yeah,
knows Mike
Marianne
has
doesn't
that,
have
though.
it, but Mike has it. So I think we might
Yeah,
be
at
able
what
to
point do
predict
you
where
just
that.
at what
But
point do you
even-
just because I don't know, because if you don't play, say next tribal you don't play it, some reason he plays it, now you don't know where any idols are. So
But
at what
right,
point do you
but
just go grab it?
also don't forget that the knowledge is power. Drea could target high,
The
get the
amulet.
votes towards him, and then use knowledge is power and take Lindsay's amulet. He goes home. That's still an idol for her.
You lost me.
So
That's
High, Drea, and Lindsay have the amulet.
Yes.
If the power gets stronger, when boom, 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 Drea
sh-
could essentially do
steal
what,
one of those.
She could target High, get the votes for him before they go to votes, do the knowledge is power, take Lindsay amulet, High go home. That's idol for her.
Wow.
That would be a big move. Although I mean that
Things
definitely
might
could
shift
work.
up. Right, yeah,
You have to play.
things
I think you
might
have to play the knowledge is power before you vote. So obviously, if she stole like Lindsay's, then, well, even if they somehow vote out High or Lindsay, then the next one she
Then
can
the
steal the
next
other
one,
person's
right,
amulet,
yeah.
and then she.
But I would like to
that's-
see it
that's
all. I
smart.
would.
Yeah.
I want to. What you say, Jack?
Not Brice with the strategy.
Oh my god!
I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that one.
Oh my god!
And all of this doesn't and I wrote some takeaways before we get to the questions. I wrote some takeaways like what happened if High stayed on that little triangle in the ocean for an extra 30 seconds?
Yeah.
And
A huge what if?
Jonathan goes out first. Then all of a sudden Jonathan's group goes to tribal first.
Mhm.
They don't Drea and everyone doesn't see Roxroy. This would have been all different.
For real, yeah. It's a big.
Yeah, I tell me if this is too deep, but I also feel like, what if George Floyd that day paid with quarters instead of a $20 bill? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that is like this is how. I don't know. I just feel like the way things happen are. I don't know. If I went too deep, but I just.
So, another question of mine that I have for you guys is what's Jonathan's timeline in this game now going forward? What do you guys think? What do you think? Like how much more game does he have in him? What do you think the fallout might be?
I kind of hate to say it, but socially, as far as that his ignorance in that conversation went, I feel like he's okay because they had the patience. Like, I don't think it should be that way, but I feel like, especially because they know him out on the island at this point, they like him. Obviously not thrilled about the comments he made, but they're still like, for them, I feel like in their position, like, okay, Jonathan means well, like we like Jonathan. But where he probably will go wrong is the fact, like, example A, his conversation with Lindsay, where he's struggling to listen to other people's ideas. And then part B is the fact that he's just a huge target regardless. So I don't think he's going super deep.
I feel like he'll be his own worst enemy because I feel like he has the potential to go back to camp upset.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like from what I have seen tonight,
like he'll be shook when in reality, like he's the last person who really needs to be shook.
Right. Like I feel like he will go upset. I just feel like from the display that I got today, it would not be
A
over the
surprise.
moon
Yeah.
for me to him to think to go back and try to rally the guys up over this this
They used the
right.
race card. They
Right,
called me racist.
and then I think that I think he will be his own demise, and I think that you better shape up, cause you need a win. You better run his only his only horse in the game is to win immunities.
Mm-hmm.
He's still. I mean, what allies does he have? Mike is his guy.
He's cool with Omar. I
Omar's
mean,
his brainchild.
the Taku 4 is a I mean, there's 8 people in the game, and as far as we know, the Taku 4 is a pretty strong alliance. Omar, Jonathan, Lindsay, Marianne, although we've seen some, I guess, like Marianne has mentioned she's kind of getting tired of Jonathan's the way he talks to her. Lindsay obviously hasn't said it, but after this travel, if I'm Lindsay, I'm gonna be like, Jonathan, like in my head, I'm gonna be like, Jonathan, I knew exactly what was going on strategically, and you would not even hear me out. Like, that's not someone you could really work with, especially when it's a Jonathan who is such a challenge beast that, like.
So then begs the question
Of,
is Jonathan the GOAT?
I mean, it's sort of, yeah.
Then begs the question,
Wow.
well, then,
Yeah.
do I just bring him along with me? Like, do I just work with him? Because who's giving this man votes at the end?
Some people, I mean, it's easy from our seat just watching him on TV and seeing the specific things he says to be like, obviously he's pretty ignorant, his strategy's bad, but like, it does seem like in the context of the island, he is very well liked in general. So there could be people that if he goes on an immunity run, you see like a Roxroy be like, wow, that man can really compete.
But it's Roxroy though.
Roxroy's vote is a vote,
I mean it is, but after Roxroy sitting through that tribal,
true.
It
does not help his. No, I don't disagree. Especially you get to final tribal council. I'd love to sit next to a Jonathan. He'd just be like,
So would Brice.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
No. Ooh. Yeah. If you're next to Jonathan at final travel, like how is he going to articulate his game? Like he doesn't even know what's going on. So
right. True.
I figured out the triangle puzzle first.
I got another question for you guys.
What's up?
Where do Drea and Marianne go from here as far as their relationship with each other? Do they go back and start working together, or do they just go back and say, all right, our shared experience brought us both trauma in tribal council last night, but we got a game to play, and I don't need to work with you.
I think it's a little bit of both. There's definitely that mutual bond and connection where I doubt they're going to really actively target each other. But at the same time, like we've seen them both vote out Chanel. Like now, obviously the script is flipped a little bit here, but I do think they will have that respect for each other, but also the respect for the game. Where if a move needs to be made, then a move needs to be made.
Yeah, I think I've seen enough of Drea's game style that I feel like I don't feel like this will bond them. I feel like Drea is still playing the Drea game. And again, I'm not mad at it. Like we seen her practically vote out Roxroy the first day. Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like Drea is playing a Sandra Twine game, which is I go where the votes go. And I mean, I'm just saying the vote wise, because Torian, like she was.
I feel like Drea's taken a good amount of agency in a lot of these votes, though. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, she was ready to get rid of Romeo. She's ready to get rid of, like, you know what I
mean?
Like
as in anybody but her, like she will.
Anybody, like that's what I mean. Like I go where the votes go. Anybody but me to get me to the next day. So I just I'm not mad at that. I had a question, but I think it would cause too much of a dialogue, so I will save it for another time.
Are you sure?
I mean, again, because I don't want this episode to be too long, but I also want to say what I want to say. And I feel like what I find interesting and just taking a step back and listening to these conversations that we're having, So, and again, I just, for me, because I live in the comments, I live in the, like, I like to see what these people are saying. And so I think about this episode and I see the comments. Oh my God, Ray, this, right? But
Yeah.
then also, like last season, we didn't necessarily have this type of like breakdown. But we did have a Black Alliance, and it was, oh my God, a Black Alliance. But it's interesting to see with 41, we had a Black Alliance and we did not see things kind of sort of fall out like how they fell out. But then, of course, it was like, oh, you're making an alliance by race. And then it's like, yet again, we don't have a Black Alliance. And yet here we are again
It's like the
having a
opposite
race
story.
conversation. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there is something to be said there.
Yeah.
With all the repeat twists and everything from 41 and 42, it is interesting because Jeff's always like, oh, we want to see how things change. It's interesting how, racially speaking, the dynamic is a little bit of the opposite, but the conversation's somehow still the same.
Still the same. I was also telling Wendell this. I don't know how y'all feel, and let me know in the comments. I am obsessed with these 2 seasons, like them kind of doing the same thing, maybe tweaking the little things. I love to see like the variables of it. I think for me as a watcher, a fan, I think it's so interesting because it's like, I mean, I would think that you would like it too, Jack, because you're a numbers guy. But like, I really do like them kind of doing a similar season, but changing a little bit of variables that didn't work, because I think like
you get to see like the different timelines of like how
we have such a completely different season.
Yeah. No, I guess my issue with it is just that some of the twists suck. So then them redoing it is just like why. But I do agree, like seeing how different players in completely different seasons interact with the same thing so differently. And then obviously Applebee's, huge addition.
Shout.
No, yeah, it's pretty cool.
But yeah, for the last 15 minutes, I think you took to Twitter, Wendeezy.
Yeah, so I just thought that, especially in this game, we wanted to take some questions from the listeners. We want to just engage a little bit more with everybody. So let's see what some folks asked us.
Let's do it. Brice, you could low-key break this into 2 episodes, honestly.
True.
Potentially double the views, but
all right, Jack, what did Jesse Bruce Clay dad_on_arrival ask us?
Yeah, so Jesse Bruce Clay asked, I would love to hear you both, or I guess she made a statement, but I would love to hear you both discuss ways of being a good ally. I like to consider myself an ally, but I would love to learn more about how to improve and to be a better ally.
I think we all should give one thing. Wendeezy.
Oh, you don't want to go first?
I mean, I can, but I just wanted to spice it up. I mean, I could go, but I stay ready.
Go ahead.
I think one piece of advice for being someone's ally or being an ally to anyone is empathy. Like actively showing empathy, and ways to show empathy are like active listening. Listen, like, take yourself out of it, whether you agree with it, whether you don't agree with it, whether you strongly disagree with it. Like, pretend as though you do in that moment, and think of the possible ways in which that person could be dealing with things. I think is one way for you to demonstrate how to be an ally.
That's a good one. I'm with you on that, Brice. One way I say is speaking up for people when they're not in the room, or when these rooms are just non-minority rooms or spaces. Not just speaking up for someone when you're around your Black friend or something like that, but speaking on, making sure that if people say something, you check them on something, or if there's an opportunity, you mention your person or something like that. Like, I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar, but a kind of a different thing. I'm gonna get a little academic with it here, but I wrote a paper last quarter for my history class about sort of when is it okay to like disobey the government, and basically it was these philosophers. One of the I think it was like Thoreau, but it might not have been Thoreau. But anyways, it was sort of like if you the majority like the government doesn't always work because the majority isn't always right, and so if you see the majority doing something that you personally don't agree with, it's not your responsibility necessarily to fix it, but it is your responsibility not to participate in it. And so I think it's very easy in a lot of different bubbles, I guess, where you're around things that you might not necessarily condone, but because that's the group sort of attitude there, it's very easy to just go along with that. And for me, it's like you're asking people a lot to be like, oh, you need to right all these wrongs, because it's not easy for one person to do that. So just individually being like, you know what, I don't agree with this, I'm gonna separate myself from that. That's a great starting place for me, I feel like.
I want to piggyback. Like, I like that, Jack, because you are asking a lot. If you ask someone to say, all right, you disagree with this group think, so go jump in front of them or something like that. The first step might just be to take yourself out of that.
Exactly. It's an easy first step. But also to like what you were saying, Wendell, for me, you know, I'm a college guy. Like sometimes you hear stuff that's not always the most like you hear off-color jokes or things like that. And for me, no one ever wants to be like hey, that's not cool. But to like casually dismiss things like that, I'd be like whatever sphere you're in, for me, a lot of times it'll be like, yo, chill out. Like that's not like what is that? Like, and it's very casual. It's not a big deal, but it kind of puts in people's minds like, you know, this or that's not funny, this or that's not good to say. And it's very casual. But yeah, either just small things like that. That's how you get the ball rolling for me, in my opinion.
And before we go to the next question, I think another one that I think, Wendell, you demonstrated amazingly when we had Evie on was, you know, one, create a safe space and like, you know, have that safe space and with your like the person that you are being an ally with, and it's okay to ask questions. Like, you know, create that safe space and ask those questions. You know, get permission to ask, but ask the questions that you don't know. And if you like, there are plenty of times in Wendell and I's friendship where he asked me questions that, like, you know, normally it would be uncomfortable. I would feel some type of way, but I understand where he's coming from, and I accept the role in that moment to educate him. So I think that a part of being a good ally is asking questions and admitting when you don't know.
If it comes from a good place, like if it comes from a pure place where you are seeking to learn, I think that's a great. I think don't be afraid to ask questions. I remember during the George Floyd Black Lives Matter movement, like some of my friends, like Kellen from Ghost Island, she'd hit me up to ask me questions. And sometimes it does get having to educate everyone all the time. Sometimes it's a lot, but I appreciate those questions, and I will have those conversations with people that ask me those questions, because it's coming from a good place. So Brice, I agree with you.
Right.
Shall I read the next one?
Yeah. See.
All right, we got a question from Matthew Simmons at Maddie Samo. A lot of people still won't get the conversation we saw tonight. People will be quick to ignore and discount what Drea and Marianne said about this issue and dismiss it as the race card. So for these people who don't get it, how can we help to bring them in?
Well, one, I say direct them to this podcast and hear us out. My take on this is a little jaded because at times I feel like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And I feel like, again, for me, I feel like change doesn't happen overnight. And I feel like sometimes the most meaningful changes happen in those interpersonal connections that, like, with people that, you know, it's the small changes that make the ripple effects. And so it's like, you know, again, for me, it's being my authentic self everywhere I go. And, you know, some people they don't take to me. And then over time, they like, oh, Brice, you a funny guy, like, you know, and it's it's me showing up as my authentic self, and being true to who I am always is what I feel like can help, because it's the interactions. And again, a lot of the times I feel like these Twitter fingers and these all these things. It's like, but would you have that same energy if we were in a room having a conversation? You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And again, that's for me, that's what I feel like can help bring them to understand.
Yeah. For people dismissing this and saying, "Oh, you're using the race card," to me, they're telling you how they feel. Like they're not using, they're not bringing their race up to try to change their position in the game.
Mhm.
They're saying, "Wow, I see that, and I'm going to do something to change it by using my idol, or I'm
Mhm.
going to call it out because I see this is how that has affected me." And Marianne even said, like, Chanel and Rox, like, they could be there for whatever reasons. Not Chanel wasn't a race based thing, or Rox wasn't, and it could have been a subconscious bias. Yeah, but this in this skin of mine, this is how I'm reacting to that, and I'm remedying it by playing my idol. So nah, y'all can't touch me tonight. So
Yeah.
when people say like, "Oh, they pull the race card," no, they're just explaining how they feel. And
They hurt their game in a way too with that. So it's like clearly.
right. So the question is, for people who don't get it, how can we help bring them in? There, so the people that haven't understood injustice in this country, especially in light of the 2020 during the pandemic, it's, to me it seems like a willful blindness. It's like, if you don't understand what's going on, my goodness, are you not listening? Do you not want to hear something? Or is your bubble, your echo chamber, just telling you one thing
Mhm.
and pointing at all people that don't look like you and calling them whatever, and saying that every city is burning down and you can't enter cities, and all these things. So what I try to do with people that are different than me is just engage and talk to them and show them who I am and show them the real me and all of that. But man, how do you?
Could I add to sort of what you're saying real
Yeah,
quick?
please,
The
please.
way I'm thinking about this is like, for the people that don't get it, and you sort of touched on it, is like, I feel like you can kind of divide it into that group of, there's a willfully ignorant group where honestly it sucks to say, but that your effort is probably not best directed towards them. But within that, I guess, ignorant group, a lot of it is about kind of trying to understand someone's intent. Like there might be people where their bubble and their echo chamber, that's just what they're kind of programmed to learn. But there's people that do want to get better. And for them, that's the people you want to be talking to. And there's like I don't know why I'm getting so historical right now, but there's like an Abe Lincoln quote that I really like that kind of touches on empathy. I'm paraphrasing, but it's basically like, um, you can't judge another person too harshly, because if you were in their shoes from this, and you were in the situation that they were in, and you lived the life that they lived, you would probably be making the same decisions. And
Mm.
so obviously sometimes there's people, and that quote was, he was telling people that was about like the Confederacy, which was obviously very intense. And obviously, of course, he had a lot of disdain for the South, but he's like, they're like that because of the circumstances that they were brought up in. And some people will willfully, ignorantly accept that, but other people you might be able to induce some change through conversations like this, or like Brice said, those individual connections. Or a lot of people might not have met a gay black man like Brice, and then as soon as they meet him, like you said, at first there might be a little bit of what's this, and then they realize they got a lot of love for you, and that can be a way to slowly change the general perception of people. So just stuff like that.
Or even our
Thank you.
dialogue here. I feel like
Yeah.
having you being a white cisgender heterosexual college student, like, I feel like sometimes people tune into this to hear your perspective with us, and I feel like, again, that's you showing up as Jack with the buffs on your sleeves, but that's you showing up as you. And I
Yeah.
think that, again, when I say this podcast is meant to model the ups and the downs, and which is why I am just grateful for this this platform and this podcast, because I do know in the podcast podcast realm, uh there is no other perspective like this one here, and that ain't no shade and that ain't no shot to nobody. You know, it's just a thing. But I didn't, never mind, because of my but like I'm just saying, like, there is no perspective like that. And I'm just grateful for the people that listen to us. So thank you. Jack, what's the next one? Oh, you might have to.
Okay. This is from Surviving peace sign at drop the 4. I'll start with the top one. As people striving to be allies, should Jeff, Lindsay, Tori have tried to shut down Jonathan when he said Drea was being aggressive, or jumped in sooner to give their support to Drea and Marianne? Or was it better for them to listen first and allow Drea and Marianne to speak? Following this, Jeff could have been harder on Jonathan while he was being problematic. Should Jeff have been more vocal about denouncing Jonathan's behavior, or was he being a better ally by not speaking and allowing Drea and Marianne to speak their truth and stand up for themselves? It's an interesting question.
Yeah, very interesting. And I think it's crazy, Wendell, you and I were having this conversation on our talkative ride up to New York, where I was telling you a moment where I was being tried, and you asked me, like, well, what did you do? And I was like, actually, you know what? It actually took me a moment to figure out what was even happening. So I think that, of course, allowing Drea and Marianne to speak their piece is what should have been done. And I think that Lindsay demonstrated very clearly when that blanket statement was put over all of Lindsay and Tori, like, you're making us feel like, and what I respect the most about Lindsay was, and especially when you're dealing with somebody like Jonathan, she ain't try to interject. She ain't try to go toe for toe. She let him say whatever it is that he said, and she waited for the circle to come around to her.
And
said her piece and dispelled what he said. As for Jeff, I don't know how I feel about that, only because I feel like I feel like Jeff's role in this moment, and I'm not talking about Jeff on social media afterwards. I feel like in this moment, Jeff was the moderator. He has to be somewhat impartial because, like, although this is a real live moment happening, and I think that he did somewhat of a good job, like, acknowledging that, but also keeping it in the game. And I feel like he did call out Jonathan. And also, again, we sit here and talk about feelings and this and that, and whether clearly y'all know how I feel about Jonathan's feelings, but those are his feelings. And so who is, you know what I mean? Like, so I get where I think that my opinion is, I think that could it have been better? Yes. But do I think that Jeff did an okay job navigating that situation? I ain't mad at it.
I think regarding Jeff, you're right. He's the moderator. It's his job to make sure that no one is physically injured out there. I think it's his job to let
people
let them talk and let Jonathan sink his own ship right now, and let Drea and Marianne respond naturally, and let the other contestants respond naturally. And I also think it is the ally's job to be an ally, however it is that they're an ally. You have the people that are going to jump in front of the bus. You have the people that are going to be on the front lines. You have the people that are going to, donate. You got the people that are going to make calls. You got the people in this case. I think that both Lindsay and Tori were allies in their own way. Lindsay was vocal, very supportive right then and there. I think she did a great job. And so, and that I think, and the parallel that I can draw is, like, I tell people to be passionate about what it is that they're passionate about. Fight your fight. If you have something in you, you fight that fight. With me, I do like fighting for social justice, and I get people hitting me up saying, "Oh, fight for this or fight for that, or don't. What about this or what about that?" And there are things that I'm just passionate about, and so maybe that's not a great parallel, but I just think that, like, however you can show your allyship, however it is comfortable and natural for you, then I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I love this. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely love this question and answer type of response. So we will definitely have to continue this more on the Purple Pants podcast. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, Jack, thank you for showing up, giving your unfiltered opinion, and I appreciate you.
Of course.
Wendeezy, I appreciate it was a long ride home.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate you for always showing up. And, I appreciate this Survivor News thing that we have. I think that is special. Until next time, y'all know what to do. Hit us
Yes,
in
sir.
the comments and we'll be back. All right. And this is the Purple Pants Podcast, Survivor News.
It's the Purple Pants, it's the Purple Pants, it's the Purple Pants podcast. You better get your headphones and listen up quick. Ooh. It's the Purple Pants podcast. You better listen in public, might make your stomach hurt. Ooh. It's the Purple Pants podcast. You're trying to unwind, you better get that box wine. It's the Purple Pants podcast. You're trying to get your snack, you better hurry right back though. It's the Purple Pants, it's the Purple Pants.